What is up, my dogs? Welcome to episode, this is 13?
But yeah, 13.
12, yeah, Jesus. Episode 13 of Very Good Cocktails. You'll notice things are a little bit different today. I'm sitting on this side of the bar, and I could not be more excited about it because we have our dear friend, CJ Catalano.
Hi, y'all. Who is joining us?
Yes, very happy to be here. Yes, CJ is a dear friend of mine, a world-class bartender and instructor, knows so much. I'm excited to have like a lesson right now in spirits, in cocktails, in history, in service, all the above. We're so honored to have him here today. He works at the Fairmont Century Plaza Hotel here in Los Angeles, a beautiful, beautiful hotel that we'll hear more about in a minute.
Absolutely.
But we have some really awesome, exciting cocktails for you today. And then, before I forget, of course, the beneficiary of all of the donations today is an organization called Art Beyond the Glass. They're a really killer organization that helps put on events to help showcase any sort of visual art that bartenders do. Normally they're doing that, but today or nowadays, and in the last year, they've completely shifted their focus. They started a fund to help hospitality workers through this pandemic. And as anyone who's worked in bars, especially out here in California, because none of them are open, we know that kind of aid and assistance is literally life-saving for a lot of people and their families. So we're honored to have any representatives in the chat today. I've got, of course, Trent sitting here across from me, and then Autumn answering all the questions in the chat. So feel free to ask any questions as we go. We're going to do our best to break everything down super simply, super easy. But first, before we do anything else, we have to have a snackery. So I am so excited to sit at this fucking bar right now and order a cocktail for my dear friend.
Oh my god. I am so excited to make a cocktail on this side of the bar instead of in my dining room. So this is incredible. Snack time, huh?
Yeah, it is snackery time.
Let's kick that off.
So yeah, we're going to move things, relatively quickly through this cocktail, but then we'll get into the full class of it. I want you guys to get to know CJ. I met CJ 5 years ago, I would say 4 or 5 years ago. He was working at Il Porcellino while I was working at 3 Dots and a Dash. My joke with it is that I would go to his bar before my shift, and he'd come to my bar after his shift. Is kind of how
it really worked out well. I think it was mutually beneficial.
It was a partnership.
For sure.
So tell me a little bit about yourself while you're making this cocktail.
Yeah, so we're going to jump right into this daiquiri as well. I know we've got our recipe listed.
Yeah.
I'm going to start off with our lime juice. I'm going to make 2 because there's 4 of us, and it's about that time of the day.
It is that time. It's 5 p.m. over here.
Double snack.
Yes.
So, as you mentioned, probably about 5 years ago, I had opened up Porcellino. I was mentioning 6 years ago was probably the first time I had met you.
6?
And I was sitting at the bar at 3 Dots reviewing my Let Us Entertain You bartender guide for training. It must have been a Sunday because I had about 2 hours to catch the metro to the suburbs.
Oh, I love it.
And I was sitting there and just watching you hold it down and talk about Paris Club that would soon turn into my home bar at Il Porcellino. And just super, super fun.
Yeah, dude.
So to now be in this situation, years later, it's been quite the ride.
Full circle, dude. I'm happy. I mean, just thinking about that bar, about 3 Dots, and you're right. Holding court is really what it was more like. It was fighting off people tooth and nail with chains and whips.
Yeah, it was like Sunday afternoon. You were just getting into it and ready to
get destroyed.
Start
the high volume.
Yeah, really bar, holding that volume down.
Right. Front bar would be court. Back bar, if you had the pleasure of getting invited to that, would be more like a DMV.
Yes. Yeah.
I frequently left there, needing a driver.
Exactly.
Yes, that sounds right.
That's fucking silly, dude. But yeah, so where are you from, CJ?
I am, I grew up right outside of Chicago, 15 miles west in Elmhurst, Illinois.
Okay.
Respect.
Yep.
Yeah.
Out in the, dirty 630.
3630.
And then moved downtown, started working with Let Us Entertain You about 2 years before I made that switch. Up at Stella Bar serving, then bartending.
Okay.
And then I got really serious with it when I joined the team at CH Distillery over in the West Loop.
I knew that.
Really say it's like farm to table for spirits. It's still to glass. Like being able to be around milling, mashing, distilling really just helped me understand spirits and that whole process.
Yeah.
Was super tight. And then around that time I was about to leave Lettuce and wasn't really sure where I was going. You know, Paul had just left, and
Right.
then they announced this Julian Cox guy was moving here from Los Angeles.
That Julian Cox guy.
Yeah, so, God, so many stories start that way.
Oh, it's so true, man. What an enigma. Though.
Yeah, so
What a
a
great
couple
guy.
of years later, he dragged me out this way,
Mm.
and it's kind of been history since.
That's
so.
awesome, man. Yeah, so for those of you guys who don't know, Julian Cox is, I would describe him as an enigma for sure. Brilliant bartender, a friend. He's so one of the easiest people to have a conversation with, which is what you always want in a bartender. But I think he really does a good job of bridging the gap between educator, friend, manager, and someone to look up to. I don't know. When working with him, I really looked up to him a lot. And although I didn't take his full 8-week class, which we took, I think 3 Dots bartenders had to take the first 2 weeks, but I think it was during the time when we were understaffed and we were just like completely burned out and exhausted.
We had just stolen Ian from you.
Yeah, oh my God, yeah,
so it was
dude.
a whole thing. I forgive
Yeah.
you for not taking it.
It was
but
a whole thing.
That class really was what gave me my lift off, because I took it and fell in love with it and really just studied it, and have been lucky to always surround myself with mentors and mentorship, and
Yeah.
you know, really focused on that, and it's become my favorite part of the job. Is just educating and, you know, talking about agricole rum.
Yeah,
So
dude.
we've got Nissan right here. This is some Eleve Sous Bois.
Yeah.
The Olive Suze Boys. That just means it's been raised in wood. This is going to be an aged agricole rum from Martinique.
Yeah. Agent Oak.
Aged in oak. So the difference between any rum with an H is that it's going to come from straight sugarcane juice and more of that agricole style, as opposed to the actual molasses and byproduct.
Right. Yeah. So it's a fresher. I like to say this rum tastes like a garden hose, like water through a garden hose. Either that, or there are variations of agricole that I say taste like there was a pirate ship that saw 100 battles, and you squeeze the deck out of all of its seawater and garden and weird dirt flavors, and then made rum out of it. I find that Fijian rum sometimes does that, or St. Lucian rum has vibes of that. But yeah, so this is one of my favorite bottles, Nissan Rum Agricole. If you see this, buy it, because it's kind of rare.
It's great.
And yeah, if you have any questions, of course, in the chat, we're happy to answer those as well. But yeah, so I'm excited for this little snackery.
Yeah, let's kick this off.
Yeah.
Right.
Hell yeah.
All right, so we're going to be shaking this. I've got all of my ingredients in our cheater tin, the small tin, and my ice in the large one. Mainly, you know, if we were to overfill this with liquid, then add ice, you're just going to have a bad time. You're going to make a mess everywhere if you don't properly fill that.
Yeah.
And one little tool that I'm bringing along that I've started using in all of our programs moving forward is this little black block. It comes from Booker and Dax. It's their cocktail cube. Normally, when we would make cocktails, we would use large blocks of ice. And the idea is the longer we shake, and I know Alex has done a great job talking about it, the couple of things that we do when we're shaking, we're chilling, diluting, mixing, and aerating.
Yes.
Those
Yes.
4 key components.
Yes. Yes.
So this block helps us really aerate the hell out of this cocktail without over diluting it and adding too much water by shaking for too long.
That was new to us. When he walked in with that, I was like,
Yeah.
what is that little black box? Or little black one?
Never seen that.
I'm excited to taste the cocktail with it, probably made. There we go.
So, need a real tight seal on that. Again, it is a lot heavier doing that, so
Oh, okay, yeah.
you could,
Good point.
honestly, if you keep doing it, your triceps are going to look great by summertime. So that's always a perk.
Yeah.
Whenever we're shaking behind the bar, I want to make sure that we're perpendicular here. I would hate to shake this way and have it explode all over Alex.
Yes. See?
And the
why-
sound,
and-
the percussiveness of it is so much different.
And I will acknowledge right off the bat, I do hold my shakers weird. I've gotten so many people who call me out for it.
What do
for
you
whatever
mean?
reason,
What do you mean?
I like my cheater in my right hand down.
Yeah, I was like, it's just
Most
reversed.
people go this
Oh,
way.
yeah.
It's awkward for me. I broke my wrist as a kid. Maybe that's part of it. But for whatever reason,
Are you
which really goes
right-handed?
in, it goes into my whole philosophy, especially for these home bartenders. Do whatever makes you feel comfortable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As long as you do it relatively
That is
right,
a much
that's
more
all that matters.
comfortable position for your right hand.
Yeah, it just allows me to really
Natural.
control the tin, and I've never been able to go away from it since then.
Dude, so that is a really good point. Do what is comfortable. If you're in pain while doing anything behind a bar, that's a problem. You're doing it wrong.
Or while drinking, go to your doctor.
Exactly. Exactly.
It should be numbing the pain.
Oh, look at that. Okay, so so we know the litmus test, as we say, is when you look into our double strainer or the fine strainer, and you see a lot of that ice, that sort of icy situation. There's not as much because you didn't have to put as much
Here, I
ice in.
barely even have ice in here.
Yeah.
I know, like, the hand trick That's just froth that's left instead.
Wow.
So
So I don't have to worry about that kind of sheen of ice over the top. You know, that I want to skate on it, 90s martini.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which is great. It serves a purpose, just not for our cocktails.
So, and you can see the beautiful bubbles at the top, which means we've aerated it properly. And those bubbles are going to stay for the duration of the cocktail, which is going to be 20 seconds at most for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks perfect. It looks
still holding its own. And
gorgeous.
I'm going to really have
But
to
again, let's stop talking about it
Yeah.
because the best time to drink a cocktail, as Harry Craddock said in the Savoy book, is quickly while it's laughing at you. So, cheers, guys.
Cheers to you.
Cheers.
Cheers to CJ
Cheers.
and for
Cheers.
joining
Thanks
us.
for coming,
What a
CJ.
pleasure, man.
The RP on the glass.
Cheers.
Yes, to RP
Everyone
on the
who's
glass.
watching.
Everyone.
Please, everyone, hit that donation button.
Yes.
Oh, dude.
We've got Corey Starr here talking about, I lost
Corey Star.
Nissan
Elevated
Dubois is
Yep.
one of his favorites.
For the
It
voice.
is, man. It is.
And
It's-
stuff Chicagoans do.
Oh,
started
that's-
shaking their daiquiris and Mai Tais with a spent lime hull for that extra lime.
A spent lime hall. Okay.
So that kind of comes from milk and honey philosophy. It's called the Regal Shake. Normally they would use it with peel, a citrus peel. The idea is you're really pulling out all those oils. Same way whenever we're muddling anything, you want to pull the oil and less of that pith. So yeah, that's just a great kind of that trash tiki sustainability way of making a better cocktail.
Hell yeah.
What was the term you just? I'm taking notes, guys. I'm
That's
you
good.
said Regal Shake.
Regal,
Regal
yeah.
Shake, dude. I didn't know that's what that was called. I've heard of shaking with lime hulls and whatnot. I just try to avoid it because I like consistent perfection all the time, and then you end up with a bunch of lime hulls around.
Yeah, with that lime hull, it's definitely an interesting way of going about it, but I love the second, third use of whatever citrus we're using. I mean, really pushing for that sustainability. I mean, like to treat the citrus like the buffalo and just respect each part and not just, peel 100 lemons in a night and then throw them out in the trash or whatever it may be. So
That's
just
is great.
extending that lifespan.
That's
is
something
really
too
fun.
that I think really gets pressed upon us in the industry out here, especially as well. Just
Yeah.
because of California as a state being so much more open and on the forefront of all those conversations.
Right.
It was definitely something I noticed was being done in the kitchen as well. Even with the way the chefs are using ingredients and reusing things till they're dead.
Yeah.
Well, there's no reason not to. It just increases your creativity. It's one of my biggest concerns with kind of the shutdown too is we've seen a shift in consumer appreciation for sustainability because they now would rather the comfort of knowing that everything was sealed and proper.
Oh yeah, right.
Paper menus that we're going to throw away versus maybe we can sanitize the laminated, but
Right.
even though you still have to bring these paper menus from a printer to a host stand, and the host stand to the table, some of it may just be a security theater, but we've kind of seen that shift. So I think it's going to take a little while once we get things opening up again to kind of get everyone back on
Americans
the sustainability.
have a tragically short memory, so I think
Horribly short.
Yeah. So
Wait, they have what?
a tragically short memory.
Oh.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. There we go. Right. Okay, so that's the snackery. We got a little technique in there, and we're gonna move forward. What's next, Hunter? You want to swipe for me, Trent?
Yeah.
Let's see what's next. Yes. Okay. The CP Old Fashioned. CJ, walk us through it, man.
Yeah, so the CP Old Fashioned, CP is going to stand for Century Plaza. This is the one cocktail that I'm going to have in every outlet throughout the hotel, and really just have this be a showcase cocktail for the property. The Old Fashioned is such a iconic cocktail, so much that the definition of a cocktail is now our definition of the Old Fashioned. It was sugar, bitters, water, and a spirit of any type. To this point, I mean, that was written in 1806, so in the last, 215 years, just about every version has happened. Like, there are no new original ideas at this point.
You're talking about like the family. The
family,
so,
yeah.
For those of you who don't know, a cocktail is not just a term that describes any. If we're talking like serious bartender and cocktaildom here and nomenclature, a cocktail doesn't just mean a vodka soda. A cocktail. What was it again?
Sugar, bitters, water, and a spirit of any type.
Exactly. So when you're saying I would like to, of course, in terms of if I'm talking to Trent, it's like God, I could go for a cocktail right now. Of course, that's that's the nickname nomenclature. But if we're breaking it down and talking about cocktail families, like it's cocktail, smash, sour, gimlet, fizz. There's so many.
Yeah, we teach anywhere from like 10 to 12 kind of core cocktail families. But with that, yeah, I mean, 1 ingredient's a shot, 2 is a highball, 3 is a cocktail.
Yeah.
The water, when we're talking about that definition, is coming from the ice itself. At the time in 1806, we didn't have commercial refrigeration, and ice, I think his name was Frederick Tudor, still hadn't started pulling ice out of the lakes and
putting it underground.
Yeah, just a madman who decided that I'm going to take frozen lakes and ship it across the world. And bring it down to the Caribbean and everything, and everyone thought he was insane, and he was, but I'm very happy that, he's
employed all of us.
Yeah, he was, truly. That's what good old Tudor. So for our old fashioned, I really wanted it to be as iconic as possible, as iconic as this property is. We haven't really talked too much about Century Plaza. It's a historic property in Century City in Los Angeles, kind of subset within that Beverly Hills area. It was built on the backlot of the Fox Studios in the late 50s. The movie Cleopatra just tragically flopped, and they had to sell off a lot of their backlot to stay afloat.
Whoa!
So then, some rich money guys came in and decided they wanted to develop and make this city of the future, which was really cool. So our hotel was finally opened in 1966, but it was designed by Minoru Yamazaki, who was the original architect for the World Trade Centers. No big deal, just this Japanese-American architect.
NBD, right?
Yeah, out of Seattle, who was just known for the new formalist style of architecture, but it's a crazy historic property. We've held every sitting president from 66 up until 2016 when they closed. So conveniently, we may have gotten to skip over one president there.
Dude, that's so hilarious.
Save the sanitizer.
Dude. That's
really looking forward to host President Biden soon enough.
That's really cool.
So I wanted this to be as iconic as the old fashioned is. So with that, our sugar, instead of using cane or demerara, a lot of the different styles that are out there, I was playing with Okinawan sugar from Tokyo and all these other different styles, but I came upon Jaggery, which I'm super pumped about. So this is kind of a hard melt Jaggery. I get this from Rare Tea Cellars out of Chicago. They are 9 times out of 10, that's my secret ingredient. It comes from Roderick. He just sources some of the coolest ingredients out there.
Jaggery, Jaggery.
Double G.
Mick Jagger.
Yeah.
So Jaggery comes from kind of India, Asia, but it's concentrated palm or date sap with molasses. So it all gets kind of pounded thin. It produces this really buttery but spicy flavor. There's definitely still some impurities in it because it is that OG, so we make sure that we filter it whenever we're making that syrup out. But it's really unique, and every blog's going to tell you all sorts of antioxidant and health claims, but since I'm mixing it into a cocktail, I won't make those claims. I will just say that it's super, super delicious.
Yeah, it's got like a definitely heavy molasses, almost tastes like caramelized, but it's not cooked, is it?
Yeah, so it's a non-centrifugal sugar, kind of the same way that demerara is. It hasn't really been refined, and then they're adding in that sap too, which is just really rounding out a lot of the flavor. And I made sure to make a kind of a bigger batch of that yesterday so we can get a raw taste of it as well.
Yeah, definitely, man. I'd never heard of it until the other day, so this is great.
Yeah, I was super pumped about it. Well, let's start, I guess, from the top with the Trinity Bitters, which I have here. So the Trinity Bitters, if any of you have been subjected to Catholic school or any sort of CCD Sunday schools, we know the Holy Trinity. So in my world, the Holy Trinity is Angostura being the father. So we're just going to do 1 dash of that. Peychaud's as the son. 1 dash.
I love it.
And then Regan's orange as the Holy Spirit. Yeah. Unfortunately, R.I.P. Gary Regan was a big loss last year. But his books and his beautiful orange bitters live on forever.
Forever, dude.
Which is really incredible. So that's my standard for our bitters.
Okay, cool.
Moving into that Jaggery. Like I said, I use a syrup here. It's 2-to-1, so it's kind of a rich syrup, as we call it. Jaggery's a little bit harder to work with. Normally, whenever I'm making syrups, I just want to blend it. I don't want to add heat because water dissolves. It's harder to kind of make it accurate, and you can impart some of that cooked flavor. You had mentioned it's already kind of cooked and caramelized.
Exactly, yeah.
And with that, it's also really damn hard and kind of harder to break down.
It's like a brick. Like this is
it's really dense.
Material.
So just a 1/4 ounce there. What I do, we had mentioned that I'll tease y'all with a little bit of science. I use this item called a refractometer. What that does, it measures the sugar level in a liquid. Yeah, measured by Brix, B-R-I-X. it's really used for winemaking a lot. They can grab a grape and test the sugar content. You can see the potential growth of alcohol from there. And then we've co-opted it for all of our syrups and prep. So I wanted to hit about 65 bricks, which is my 2-to-1 ratio.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So again, trying to just be as scientific as possible. So that might lead to me having to reduce it a little more because it's so difficult, and it's probably one of the more finicky ones, but when it comes out well, it really comes out well.
So when you're ordering this, does it come in like little bricks like this, or is it like a bag, or what does it look like?
So yeah, I actually have my bag right here from our friends at Rare Tea Cellar, and it's several pieces. Roderick does also sell this a little more broken down, about $20 a bag, and that's 1 pound, so probably not.
It'll go a while.
Yeah, you've got plenty of sugar there.
For home use.
For home use, you'll be great.
Yeah.
Let's see, so where are we?
Syrup, bitters?
Syrup, bitters, that leaves water, which we'll get to, so I guess spirit of any kind. And the spirit that I'm going to use here is Russell's Reserve, their single barrel. So Russell's Reserve comes from the Wild Turkey Distillery. I was talking about iconic and tradition, and there's nothing more iconic or traditional to me than Wild Turkey.
Yeah, sure.
It gets that bad rap because 101 is so potent. And
whatever, dude. It's 100
It's ended a lot of marriages in this country.
Which is, more power to them.
Yeah,
they just needed that little kickoff.
They needed a push.
Dude, I'm like a 100 proof snob almost. I don't want to use the word snob, but I almost prefer bonded anything or anything that's 100 proof. I know it's like, if we're talking actual percentages, it's not even that much more alcohol.
No.
But I find that bonded generally means higher quality than just any old whiskey or whatever. But I don't know. I think there's something to be said about tasting the whiskey cutting through the lemon and
the
sugar.
cut. That's like, I used to always push guests that wanted an old fashioned towards something that was higher proof.
Yeah.
And I'd always turn to their partner and be like, they'll be fine. But this allows you to still maintain the integrity of that whiskey as you cut it with all the simple and all of the panache that's going into the glass with it.
Indeed.
Yeah, so this is probably the most higher end of the Wild Turkey family, or kind of the spectrum. What's really cool about Wild Turkey is they only use one mash bill, at least for their bourbons. Their ryes are a little different. So they do 75% corn, 13% rye, and then the remaining 12% malted barley. So kind of a higher corn, so a little bit sweeter, but that rye still gives a lot of spice for you.
Real quick, so for those of you at home who aren't following what we're saying in terms of the mash, when we're talking about distillation, actually, you know what? I bet CJ can break it down. He's done this once or twice. So tell us a little bit what that means in the mash.
So a mash is just your recipe, really. So especially when we're talking about bourbon or rye, which are kind of the core starters for American whiskeys. A bourbon needs to start with at least 51% corn, rye, 51% rye. The best way that I can explain that, if you're looking at kind of those percentage breakdowns, is cornbread versus rye bread. Cornbread is naturally going to have a little bit sweeter. It's tastier. I mean, there's a reason why corn syrup's so damn delicious.
Yes.
It works really well. Versus rye is going to be spicier, a little more kick to it. So those, when we play with those percentages and kind of tinker around, you can see the real difference there. Why I love Wild Turkey, just sticking to one, as opposed to, say, Four Roses, which makes excellent products, but they're all varying because they have 5 different mash bills and 5 different yeast strains. So Wild Turkey has 1 mash bill, 1 yeast strain.
Right.
Jimmy Russell has been distilling for longer than the Century Plaza has existed. Well over 60 years now, so that was kind of...
And it's the same build and same yeast?
Same everything.
Mash?
He's been doing it since it was Austin Nichols was owning, way before Wild Turkey kind of became its own thing. And then his son, Eddie Russell...
It's the same farmers, too.
Yeah,
like
it's
the same plots
same
of land
sources.
in Frankfort County that they're sourcing everything.
Absolutely.
This is Wild Turkey we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, this is turkey. Like, this is no joke. I had someone ask me recently, if there's any cool new whiskeys out there, and new whiskeys are kind of a waste of time. These guys have mastered that.
Yeah.
If you want something that's cool and new, stick with your gins or your rums or places that are getting a little more experimental.
Absolutely.
And
It's
new
like
age,
asking for a cool new muscle car.
Yeah,
Or you're
you
like,
want
they
a
already,
67.
or you want a Mustang Mach 1, or you want, like, they already did that. Like,
just
trust
stick with
is
what
perfect.
works.
So, and then another thing that a lot of people don't understand or that aren't familiar with is the big whiskey houses like Buffalo Trace, like Wild Turkey or whatever, are all kind of under their own little umbrellas. Like there's Jim Beam that makes I mean, what's under their umbrella? Buffalo Trace, isn't that Jim Beam?
Buffalo Sazerac, but Beam then also, I think they do like
Knob
Brook. it's so common. Same way with tequila. Normally one house will make multiple different SKUs and different products of, different whiskeys, and that's what I'm saying. Wild Turkey just makes Wild Turkey. At least out of their house.
Sure. And
some people might buy some juice from them,
right.
on the side, but anything that they're putting their name on is just going to be that one recipe.
Beautiful. And how much is this bottle at the store if you can find it?
Yeah, so this is a single barrel. They also have a 10-year available, which is a little cheaper. The single barrel would come in at about $65, so definitely a little more expensive. But the reason why I wanted to use a single barrel of Russell's Reserve is, I've said Jimmy Russell's been distilling for over 60 years. His son, Eddie Russell, the second generation of the Russell family, was finally named a master distiller after 35 years of distilling. So
damn,
he's someone that every distiller would look up to, and to Jimmy is like, you're getting there.
Yeah,
you're almost there, son. For Jimmy, the perfect cocktail is bourbon and ice. So he's just sticks to his roots. So this is the first launch away from Wild Turkey 80 and 101 into kind of this exclusive. This is our top tier. This was Eddie's project to really, sell this, make it beautiful. So why I wanted to bring the single barrel is actually the second version of this cocktail. It's going to be the same build, but I also brought something a little special for you.
Yeah, dude.
This is a sample bottle that was shipped to me around late March last year. I was supposed to go visit our friends down at Wild Turkey in Kentucky.
Yeah.
Something happened.
What?
The ticket got lost in the mail.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It was real messed up.
Your paper plane ticket got lost in the
mail. Yeah, that must have been what happened.
Yeah,
so
sure.
This is barrel 0069. 0669.
Oh, even better.
Yeah.
3 digits away from 666 and a 69 stuck in there.
What
That's so on brand for us.
So this was distilled in 2011, but the whole story here is we were supposed to go and pick out our own single barrel, which we still will do by the time that we open up this property. So it's going to be a Russell's Reserve Century Plaza single barrel in every single old fashioned.
Wow.
So
Okay, cool.
Sourcing our own barrel of this Russell's. So while Wild Turkey goes in a barrel at 115 proof, a little bit lighter, kind of in that sweet zone for Eddie and Jimmy. This gets bottled at 55%, so even hotter than your traditional 101.
110 proof.
Yeah, so 110 proof. Right. That extra 9 makes a difference. This one is at 116.5. So why I really picked this is it's got more of a spicy rye finish than some of the other samples that I tasted with, which works so beautifully with this jaggery. Yeah. So I also wanted to mix you guys a little special of the last of
beautiful, dude.
This barrel sample.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing. And then, clapping, right?
Honored.
For those of you at home who don't know what we're talking about, when we're talking about selecting a barrel, that's something that bars and or cocktail bars and hotels or restaurants, they'll send a rep. In this case, probably CJ. They'll send a rep down to Bourbon County in Kentucky to taste a bunch of different kinds of barrels or distillates or whatnot. Probably a pretty fun trip, if I would guess. But the idea,
a lot of syringes and bong holes.
Yeah, there we go. Exactly. But the idea is once you select your barrel, they will bottle it for you, and then the only place theoretically where you could get said whiskey is at the Century Fairmont Plaza hotel, where CJ is working. So I know Violet Hour has their own bottle of
Longman had a ton. We had an Eagle Rare. We had a Michter's. We had they were doing barrels from everywhere.
They're how many gallons? 55 gallons?
55.
Yeah, 55 gallons. So, and then they add water and they are bottling it. So you're getting several hundred bottles of this amazing distillate. Are there any questions, by the way, right now? Or are people just kind of chilling? No, it's all good.
Well, we lost 0 viewers talking shit about Trump. So
yeah,
we should be careful.
Well,
that's true, right? Yeah.
Well, Mackenzie said she'd be here, but the dog, she's got the puppy.
That's all good. It's all good.
And the puppy has been pooping. He pooped worms today.
No.
But she renamed the dog Gaia.
Oh, that's a solid name.
Yeah.
Solid name, Mackenzie. One day we'll meet little Gaia. She's so cute.
Yeah, that's a cute dog.
Damn. So CJ is now adding the water here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I kind of skipped over that step.
No.
So what we were doing there is just stirring that drink. The opposite of what we do when we're shaking. We're still doing those 3 major components of we're diluting, incorporating, and chilling. But instead of aerating, we're actually kind of doing the opposite, and we are removing any air. We're making this as silky as possible, which you will then get into one of my pet peeves very shortly. There she is. Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
so how I finish this cocktail, I would say, or kind of the rule of thumb is that lemon plays great with rye and orange plays great with bourbon. When you're making your old fashioned, just kind of a rule of thumb. that you don't have to stick to, but I recommend it.
Yeah.
Since this cocktail kind of pulls components from both philosophies, I double peel it, so this gets lemon and orange peel.
Are you of the camp of leaving the fruit in the glass, or do you express and then toss?
For the old fashioned, I will leave it in. It's kind of based on what that cocktail is.
Yeah.
Especially for the old fashioned, this is a cocktail that I always like to serve almost under diluted. And the main reason why I do that is it's a cocktail that should evolve as you drink it.
Yeah. People chat over this cocktail.
Yeah.
They hold on to it and they chat over it. They hold it.
Yeah, and it's being served
it
right over fresh ice as well.
Yeah.
So the difference being that all this ice that's left in this, in my mixing glass, it's already wet and it started melting and started diluting. So it's only going to continue to dilute over time.
Okay.
Versus fresh ice is kind of pure and will hold up. So we're going to hit that with some peels.
We talked about that the other day, that there's something about an old fashioned that, especially when it's served on the rocks, is that the last couple sips are pretty much like sugar water.
Heaven.
And it's lovely. For those of you who've ever had an old fashioned, you know what we're talking about. If you've never had an old fashioned, you should change that. And honestly, the Trinity bitters, I bet that in and of itself is a hack.
People are stoked on that.
Yeah, they should be.
Yeah.
And for those of you guys just joining us, by the way, this is CJ Catalano. I know we're live, so we are constantly introducing our friend, CJ Catalano from the Fairmont Century Plaza Hotel. Joining us today, beverage director, and we're honored to be learning a lot from CJ today.
Mm-hmm.
So one more time here. This is the Russell's Reserve. This is the CP Old Fashioned.
Yes.
Okay.
So here we've got our Trinity bitters, that Angostura orange Peychaud's, jaggery syrup, remember that really condensed sugar from India, and then Russell's Reserve single barrel, which will eventually be made with our own barrel. So we had about an ounce and a half left of that sample, but
dude, thank you for sharing.
Made a mini guy, and then this is a full version.
Well,
one little note, since I'm going to hit you with a lot of these details.
Yeah.
For my garnish, I mentioned one of my pet peeves. I always like the pith of the citrus to go against the glass. The main reason being, when you're drinking it, I want you to see that peel and smell it.
Right.
I don't give a shit what your friends see.
Right.
Like, if you want to do that for Instagram, feel free to style it yourself, but I'm making this drink for you, so I really want you to have that full experience. So.
And that, for anyone trying to become a professional bartender, it's the little things that make a huge difference. So the way CJ just handed me this drink, you might think, he just handed it to me, but no. He handed with the peels facing this way. The wash line, or where the cocktail meets the glass, is probably very consistent across the board when he's making them, and that matters enough for me to not ever make a stink about it as a guest. Like, this is too full, or too, people are idiots.
Not enough caffeine in my rum and coke.
Exactly, right, exactly. But this is a beautiful cocktail. The outside of the glass is just starting to condensate, so I know it's the perfect temperature. Consistency is key. And if I were to order this cocktail at a bar, I would use the term spirit forward. I'd like a spirit forward, or maybe an herbaceous cocktail. Spirit forward meaning I want to taste the alcohol, I want it to be stirred, and I want the spirit to really be the feature of the drink.
Yeah, spirit forward is not that hack that we all think when we're 21 and less ice.
Oh my god!
Give me more booze. It's just a descriptor of a style of cocktail.
Well, I'm going to taste this. I want to taste this right now.
I do have a couple questions.
Yes, hit me.
So we have a friend, Kevin, who's always with us, Kevin Kapuza. He said he just bought some Redemption Rye. It's finished in plantation rum barrels. He says it's delicious, but is there a group favorite rye? Do you guys have any rye recommendations?
Wild Turkey Rye 101.
Yeah.
No, but you were mentioning bonded before. I think Rittenhouse or Old Overholt started making a bonded rye as well.
Old Overholt. Michter's makes a solid rye.
Yeah, the rye category is just exceptional.
Both of them.
We've got Pikesville that used to be out of Maryland, but now it's with Heaven Hill. That's a great 110 proof, so a little bit higher. I haven't met a rye I don't like, to be honest with you. So,
whoa, dude, this is
that one may be a touch sweeter.
No. I was gonna say this.
Okay,
this
I was adjusting my portions on the fly.
No, this is a little. This one is definitely a little bit sweeter, but I don't think it's not like sugar sweeter. It's just like a overall whiskey flavor sweeter.
Like I said, the jaggery it's got almost a buttery texture to it.
Yeah.
That's really, really unique and fun.
It's less sweet, and it reminds me of when you over butter your toast and you put too much cinnamon and too much sugar on your toast, and then you eat it, and your tongue kind of has like this laminated layer of fat on it, of sugar, sweet fat. That is what I'm getting from the jaggery, and it's really, honestly, pretty magical.
Yeah.
This is delightful. When you're in Los Angeles and when we can visit each other and go visit CJ at the Fairmont Century Plaza, which I will be doing.
Yes.
I'll probably get kicked out of there a few times. Can't wait.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your cocktail program there?
Yeah, absolutely. So the 3 cocktails that we're going to be running through today are all coming from Lumiere. Lumiere is going to be our 3-meal brasserie style. This is our traditional restaurant that's going to be on the ground floor. Super, super pumped about that. What I was thinking when I was running through the cocktail development for that program, thank you, was our chef for Lumiere is incredibly talented. His name is Chef Jason Franey. He came on to 11 Madison Park with Daniel Hoon.
Yep.
He was his executive sous, then went on to Canlis in Seattle, and has really just been all over the country. An incredible chef. And then our GM for that restaurant actually worked at the same time as Chef Franey at EMP as their service director. So I know I am not going to be able to keep up with Chef in that aspect.
I don't know, man.
My thought is I wanted cocktails for Lumiere to be very food friendly, very non-assuming.
What do you mean by food friendly?
Yeah, that's a great thing to hit on.
Yeah.
A lot of people think, I have to switch to wine, or I have to switch to beer when my food drops.
Yeah, what does it mean food friendly?
Yeah, absolutely. So for shaken drinks, it might be a slightly touch more acidic whenever, acid kind of inspires you to want to keep eating or drinking, but just not overly flavorful, if that makes sense. There's still going to be a ton of flavor, but this isn't your smoked cocktails. This isn't your theatrics. This is cocktails that are absolutely incredible, but you don't know why, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've got a French martini on the menu that I'm super pumped about.
Perfect. Yeah, dude.
But that comes with a pineapple agrodolce and my favorite secret ingredient, which I guess it's not a secret anymore. Hi, y'all. Galliano, because why not?
Oh, sure.
Just a little touch. I grew up in the club bartender days. Yeah, for me it was the pineapple upside down shot was always mixed in with the French martini, so it had to be some sort of vanilla vodka, and I'm pulling my vanilla there. So a lot of those very familiar things, and we'll even see with the next two that aren't too scary for someone who's just coming to dine in an incredible restaurant.
Yeah.
Versus the lobby bar is going to be a lot more of your theatric, a little more of the showstoppers. That's where I'll play with some dry ice, some kakigori ice, so that shaved Japanese ice. Just really getting more into, I'm coming here for a cocktail. You had mentioned Violet Hour, almost, so like, I wouldn't ever think about going to Violet Hour and having dinner at the same time.
Definitely.
So that's kind of my experiences. If you're going to the lobby, you're going to come and enjoy a cocktail or a glass of wine, and that's what's bringing you there. As much as I expect to have a packed out happy hour and everyone coming in enjoying cocktails, I don't think that's going to be as much the draw for Lumiere. So that's kind of the delineation there. Then we've got a rooftop pool that's called the pool. That's currently for guests and residents only.
Residents.
We didn't even touch on that quite yet.
Dude, residents.
So we've got 400 hotel rooms and 63 residences inside the hotel.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then behind the hotel, we've just built 2 44-story towers.
We've just built.
Are the residents people that have been there for a long time?
No, so it's been completely renovated since 2016. So it used to be 900 rooms, and now we've reduced it to 400 rooms and 63 residences.
Wow, that is a substantial difference.
So they took 500 rooms to create 63 residencies?
Well, we also expanded the footprint of the actual hotel rooms, and it is a historic property, so there's only so much that we can do.
Right.
It's beautiful curved building. Every terrace has these great railings, and
in Beverly Hills, you get a view of like the Hollywood sign and Sunset every day.
But with that, we couldn't just replace those railings. You have to take them off, fix them,
get them
bring them back.
Yep.
So it's just made for a hell of a process, but definitely a lot going on there. I mentioned rooftop. I think we got distracted when I said resident. If I talk Lumiere, is I would say it's like your buttoned up suit and tie, and then the lobby is you've got your tie loosened and a couple buttons off. The rooftop, I want your shirts off. It's a fun party vibe.
And you're the beverage director of all of it, right?
Yes.
That's so exciting.
And the implication is you're taking an elevator home, or your guests are smart enough to get an Uber.
Yeah.
So the pool should be a party.
Yeah, absolutely.
People shouldn't be driving there and going wild at a pool all day and then trying to fucking drive home.
And serving a White Claw Paloma and a White Claw can. That's the sort of I want to have fun.
Yeah, dude.
That's totally it.
That sounds amazing. You'll find us.
Do you guys have a can crusher?
So like,
Might actually invest.
just really quickly, since we're talking about all this exciting stuff, for anyone, when the time comes to come back to bars, and we talk about this all the time, that we are doing these awesome fun classes on live streams on Fridays. We're doing them to learn things about new cocktails, but also to really break down the amount of hard work that goes into men and women behind the bars.
100%.
Like, it's not just like people throwing shit together. You know what I mean? So when you go out to a bar, please pay respect to your bartender or server. CJ is clearly highly trained on everything he's doing. He's training his staff to be just as knowledgeable as he is about this kind of stuff. So, when you see something on the menu that you don't have any questions about, and you can ask a server or bartender, what is this? And they give you a whole answer. Please take care of your bartenders and servers. Be kind to them. Be like, they're human beings just like you. Yeah. And especially at historic places like where CJ's working, this is the kind of thing that people spend their lives, working, researching, and learning about. So, just think about these kinds of things when that tip line comes up, obviously, but also in terms of just respecting bartenders and servers. Like, there's a lot of knowledge behind this and a lot of work. So we're really excited to have you here, of course, but for you to be sharing your proprietary old-fashioned with us before it even comes out is an even more special treat. So.
And a barrel select.
Yeah, like that. I mean,
that's
that. Like,
I mean, we mentioned I worked at Longman. I've probably had like a million old fashions in my day. Yeah. That is truly one of the, if not the most special old fashioned I've ever had.
Yeah,
I mean, like that is so special.
The Jaggery really does make a difference. So yeah, and see, you can follow CJ at Repeal Cocktails. Great, fucking great Instagram handle, dude. Repeal Cocktails. Yeah, and I'm sure if you messaged him any questions, he would be happy to answer you.
You're right on there. You're not just offering me up. Like I mentioned,
exactly.
Education is one of my favorite things. That's why I've worked to get to a point where I was overseeing bars and programs, is because I love to share this knowledge.
It's great. It's great.
Yeah.
We're grateful to have you here, man.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Does anyone else want to take their shirts off and party at the rooftop?
Yeah, dude.
I'm just saying, like, vacation.
I'm trying to
We're getting there.
my shirt off, dude. I'm trying to be shirtless at the bar.
The residencies are definitely going to be,
We need a vacation. We
Yeah.
all do.
I think we can afford a residency. They're probably going to be rent control. They're probably going to be affordable.
Totally, dude.
That
totally
zip code,
Beverly Hills.
there's 63 of them.
Totally
I mean,
reasonable, yeah.
I did skip one question, though.
Yes.
Do you guys know if anyone has ever tried to make a new fashioned, just like a plan an old fashioned? Have you ever heard of a cocktail called that?
If
Several.
it ain't
Okay.
broke,
Yeah.
if it ain't broke, don't don't.
I mean,
fix it.
with the Jaggery syrup, and this for me would fall into like an actual execution of what a new fashion would be.
Yeah,
So, because like no bartender at a supper club in Wisconsin was whipping this together as they muddled
not without
cherries.
their Sprite press.
Sprite.
I was like, see, a proper Illinois boy would know that up in Illinois' largest state park, they like to throw a lot of fruit into our glass.
That's right. Muddling maraschino, like radioactive cherries.
Oh yeah.
So actually, you mentioned maraschino. There is a cocktail called the Improved Old Fashioned that is probably just as historic. I couldn't tell you the exact date, but that does dose in a little maraschino.
We did an improved gin cocktail a few weeks ago, and it essentially is like a gin old fashioned with simple and maraschino being the sweetener.
Yeah.
So and then absinthe rinse glass. It was,
beautiful.
Right.
So like I said, after 215 years of old fashioned existing, I'm sure the new fashion's probably been on 3,000 menus by now.
Oh yeah, at least.
Yeah,
there's 3,000 bars in Chicago alone.
Yeah, I can't think of one that's kind of stood the test of time.
Yeah.
Like kind of some of the modern, contemporary cocktails.
I love it. Well, shall we move on?
We shall.
So that was the CP Old Fashioned, and like we said, if you have any questions, you can message us. You can email me. I'm alex@verygoodcocktails.com. You can message CJ. I'm happy to put you guys in touch. Or for those of you interested in booking out a room at the Fairmont Century Plaza Hotel when it opens, by all means, we are happy to forward you all that information because damn, that's going to be nice.
Yeah. I got a guy.
Oh
We got a guy. We got a guy.
We'll hook you up.
Yeah. So now I'm so excited for this next cocktail. CJ has been published for this cocktail all over the place. I've seen beautiful photos of it. As it is, I'm not going to give it away before we get to it. But this is an Armagnac. I've always said Crusta.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Crusta is the way that word is pronounced, and Armagnac is a very, very special spirit that we're going to dive headlong into. But this is our first guest on the show, which I think is awesome. I'm having a great time. Like, it's nice to, right? Like, I'm chilling, but it's really awesome to work with a published bartender like CJ, who is a fucking expert on this kind of stuff, and to have a cocktail that is his build, his brand, is even more exciting. So I'm just letting you guys know this is like a treat. So this is
we talk about the experience of like going out to eat or going to a bar, and like the thing you remember always, I think, is like if you're dealing in an experience with someone taking care of you and their eyes are like no lie lighting up, and they're excited about what they're talking about and they care about it. That's contagious.
Yeah, dude.
Like someone loving what they're doing in the moment and realizing that you're listening to them and you care too.
Yes.
Like that give and take is that's like what being alive is all about.
Sure, dude.
Like
I'm with it.
sharing those small little moments in between.
Yes, and we're here to take full advantage of CJ here. Okay, so walk us through the Armagnac Crustas.
Yeah, let's geek out on history real quick.
Yes.
That's one of the things that makes me absolutely love cocktails in the cocktail world, outside of just the general imbibing and debauchery and lifestyle of this world.
Sure.
In the community. It's the history and how connected, like it's international history as well. That's what's so beautiful about the cocktail, is it was created in America, and it's like such a representation of the American melting pot.
Definitely.
We just took everyone's traditional drink and then threw it all in a glass together and kind of bastardized it and made it really delicious.
Sure.
That sounds pretty American to me.
Yeah, so
It's really fucking American.
yeah,
You
it's
like
kind of my
that?
thing.
How about sugar?
Yeah.
So
The 90s.
the Crusta, as a family of cocktail, was founded in the 1850s by a bartender, an Italian bartender who moved to New Orleans named Joseph Santini. In the 1850s, he was making this Crusta cocktail. He went on to open a bar called Jewel of the South that has recently been reopened, or at least that name has reopened in New Orleans. So if you see that name or it sounds familiar, it's coming from Santini. And then it was originally published in 1962 from Jerry Thomas in the, what is that, How to Mix Drinks, or the Beaumont campaign.
Sure.
And this was one of the first fancy drinks, if you will. So
Okay.
it was over garnished, it was excessive, and that's what made it so beautiful. So the name Crusta is going to be derivative of the actual garnish in the cocktail. So one thing I'm going to do is actually start now on our garnish game, only because with a cocktail like this, it's a little more intense on the garnish. If I were to do that after the cocktail's done, it's going to start dying in the glass. I had mentioned earlier that Craddock, like, drink it quickly.
No. They have a shelf life, and it's very, very quick.
So first thing we want to do is get what we call a horse neck peel. So what that means is we're going to take our veg peeler and start right at the top, and then circle all the way around our lemon. The idea behind it is that one lemon peel will be long enough to wrap all the way around a horse's neck. I don't know if you've ever seen a horse.
That's what they call it, the horse's neck. Yeah.
Wow, you got peeler envy right now?
Dude, I
What?
do. That's a beautiful, beautiful peel.
I mean, you were, 6 Smirnoff Ices deep when you were trying to horse neck.
And I got
the other episode.
I mean, I was fucked up. It was bad. But I still got it.
You got there. It was your birthday.
Proper
It
tools.
It was my birthday.
Proper tools.
Indeed.
And then, as I had mentioned, we're gonna, treat this like the buffalo. So that's why I wanted to get our peel first, is to get the sugar rim, which is what that kind of crust comes from. We want to use the lemon itself, the oils and the citrus to kind of have something for it to coat to.
Get that slip.
So as you see the recipe over here, it says violet sugar. We're going to get there in a minute, but we're talking about a sugar rim. And a Crusta, generally, doesn't it have to have a sugar rim?
Absolutely. So that's kind of where the name Crusta comes from. The idea is you get this long lemon horse neck. Traditionally, it would be served in a flute. I stick with a coupe nonetheless. And that would rest, and then the rest of the glass would be coated in sugar, and they would leave it overnight. So it would then crust and solidify to the glass.
Okay.
So that's kind of the general idea there.
Beautiful. Okay.
So
God bless the dishwasher.
I am a sucker for a half rim. Feel free to go all the way around, but again, since I am making drinks for other people to drink and not for myself, I want to give them the option. If you're making it for yourself and you love the sugar rim, go all the way around.
Go nuts. Go nuts.
And then caveat, if you do not want to add a sugar rim, this cocktail is going to be too dry. So we talk about the balance of cocktail. We want the sugar rim for you to kind of lick and taste, and that's going to balance out the cocktail.
Completely.
So this violet sugar that we're going to rim our glass with is a combination. Do you mind showing that off?
Yeah.
Again, our good friends at Rare Tea Cellar really make my job easy. They create this beautiful violet sugar, and then what I do is I blend that, or I kind of dehydrate it because it packs slightly hydrated.
Yeah. It feels kind of gooey.
Yeah, so just dehydrate it so it'll go through a food processor or a blender really easily. And then I also add in some caster sugar or kind of baker sugar, super fine sugar, which is what you would want to use even if you weren't using violet sugar. You want a really fine sugar, so that'll hold better.
Yeah.
And then I also dose it with a little bit of silver edible glitter just so it shines when you're posting it for the gram.
That's even
when
better,
in
dude.
LA, baby.
Exactly, dude. Hollywood.
It's for the people.
Yeah, so
yeah.
for those of you at home, just a brief recap of violet sugar, just because I want to make sure I get it right.
Yeah.
Get this particular brand, or if you want to make it yourself, it's violet flour, right? Or what is it?
Yeah, so there's going to be a couple of different ways that you can make flavored sugars. The idea mostly similar to like flavoring eggs. I don't know if we've ever really gone into that, but you can take cotton balls with vanilla flavoring or whatever, essential oil, and set it in your egg crates. And through osmosis, it's going to go into permeate the shell and create that flavor. So you really just want to. It's the oleo.
Yeah,
exactly. So we're making kind of that oleosaccharin style,
oil and sugar.
Where just coating those flours and everything with that sugar, and it'll pull out the flavor.
Okay. So you buy it, dehydrate it, and then put it in a food processor to make it super fine. You want super fine sugar. You don't want gritty anything. This is like almost looks like powder.
Yeah.
To me.
So that is kind of the goal here.
Beautiful.
I am going to be making 2 of these just because there's 4 of us, and that seems reasonable. This recipe may seem a little difficult. I see those 3 7/5s, and that's a really weird measurement, and I will acknowledge that.
That's a woodworker's measurement you got going.
Yeah, absolutely.
You making cabinetry, brother?
Super precise. So the idea there is it's just shy of a half.
Yeah.
Both of these ingredients, when we actually batch it out, because during a typical cocktail service, we're going to incorporate all the ingredients that we can, so it's a lot quicker. That would then turn into a 3/4 ounce pour, which is kind of my balance that I'm looking for. I've got 3/4 ounces of that lemon, so now I want 3/4 ounce of that kind of sugar or sweetener to balance it out. So yeah, if you're at home, just shy of your half, about a dime's width, and you should be good to go.
Yeah.
Proper woodworking terms.
Exactly.
Shy or proud.
So what CJ's talking about when we're talking about batching cocktails is something that high volume cocktail bars especially will do, is they'll have all of the non-perishable liqueurs, not all of them, but as many as you can sometimes in a bottle all together, and then the bartender, for instance at 3 Dots and a Dash, if I were to reach for every single rum in a 3 Dots and a Dash or a Jet Pilot, that would be the term is touches. I'd have to grab another bottle. Instead of pouring 1 ounce of this, half an ounce of this, half an ounce of this, I can pour 2 ounces of one bottle that's been batched, as the term is, just for anyone who's struggling to follow along with industry terminology. But so what CJ is saying here, really briefly, is these two add up to 3/4 of an ounce. So he'll have one bottle that'll say Crusta, Maraschino, Combier, whatever, and the bartender will measure 3/4 of an ounce in one pour instead of 2 separate pours, making it more efficient. Very brief description of batching. Yeah. So it's not cheating. It is not cheating. In fact, for every minute you've bitched and moaned about your cocktail taking forever, a bartender who's batching things out is someone you want to be friends with.
Yeah, we're doing this for you, I promise.
Exactly.
And it's also
we're doing this for you.
Selfishly for us, I always use the term economy of motion. The less that we have to move to get that cocktail out to you, not only is it going to be better on our bodies, but it's going to save you time, and it's just going to make everything run a hell of a lot smoother.
Exactly.
Right.
So as
and the
much as we can
consistency
reduce
of
this,
every visit too,
absolutely,
which is like what brings people back.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They're like, you got to try this cocktail to their friends, and then they go back, and it's not the same it was the time they went.
Yeah, right.
You've just ruined multiple guest experiences.
Absolutely.
So batching is a really easy way to keep things consistent.
Yeah.
So
again, makes my job easy.
Exactly.
So I'm going to double this up and go for 3/4 ounces of Luxardo Maraschino.
behind you up there. Yeah.
Beautiful. This tall boy.
We love that bottle.
All right. So, Luxardo, I know that we've talked about this once or twice on this class.
Yeah, definitely.
Have you ever talked about the Luxardo family?
No, we haven't.
Awesome. So, the Luxardo family had these beautiful cherry kind of groves in Zara. Zara is now present-day Croatia. So, there was a lot of Italians that were living in Zara, and then once the wars started hitting, they were all exiled out of Zara. So the Luxardo family then moved back to Italy, and they were using these cherries that are normally grown in Croatia, the Marasca cherry, which is where maraschino comes from. They started planting their own varietal of Marasca cherries. So in Italy, there are Luxardo Marascas. They've created their own varietal of cherries, and family's been doing this since 1821.
CJ, have people spoken to any type of terroir difference between the cherries they were growing in Italy compared to the Croatian ones, climate-wise?
That may have been kind of lost to time. I haven't heard that, but my understanding is they were doing everything they could, their age-old GMO to make this taste as close to the actual...
And geographically, the Adriatic is the only thing separating
exactly.
where
so
they
that's
are on
where
that
they
plane.
ended up settling there, as they wanted to, stay as close to the same growing region.
Parallel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So really, really fun stuff, and this will go for days and days. And
I know you joked about it. You joked about it, and you're always CJ's always trying to get people to help drain their Luxardo, because for the private classes that I do with people, or for anyone whom I've ever instructed to buy this bottle, they probably make 1 or 2 cocktails with it, and a bottle will last years on the shelf, which is not a bad thing.
No, I still have my original from 2014, and so doing my Creme de Violette and all those things. If you're ever a home bartender, my advice is whenever you're going out and buying a spirit, buy a modifier as well, because every time you go and buy another spirit, you're just expanding how many other cocktails you can make. Because now I have maraschino, so now I can make...
It unlocks so many doors.
Exactly. Now I can make a fancy free, or I can make an improved old fashioned, or I can make a sidecar, which is actually in the family history of the Crusta. The sidecar would not exist without the Crusta.
There we go.
So that was our question. Sugar rim on a sidecar.
Oh, right.
Is that original garnishing?
That would make sense if it's in the original family.
Yep.
That's interesting. Because I normally add simple to a sidecar, so...
Yeah, and I would go an eighth or a real small amount, but that's doing the same thing without the sugar rim. You're just mitigating what that sugar would already do for you.
Beautiful. I love it.
Now let's have some even more fun.
Dude.
The crust has always been made with some sort of curacao or triple sec. It's 2021. I take my cocktail seriously, but I don't take myself seriously.
Yes.
So let's make some fucking blue drinks.
Dude, blue drinks.
It's about that time of the day.
Yeah, so... This is the original blue curacao.
Yes, so...
Combier, grain neutral.
Yeah,
Correct.
So homie JB Combier, back in the day.
Your boy.
Yeah, the boy.
Yeah,
our
boy. He was one of the first to make the actual original triple sec. And then years later, someone in the family line, let's make that blue.
Yeah.
And it started to trend though. There's red curacao. There's all sorts of different colors out there. Blue really took off. Your Adioses and all those really just kept it in the spotlight.
Adios motherfuckers.
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
Or blue motherfuckers, cornerstone of any 19-year-old's cocktail diet.
Sex in the City as a series.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Keeping anything alive.
Blue drinks. But so triple sec orange liqueur is what we're, in very basic terms.
Yeah, so it's 3 different distillates. Sec meaning French for dry, so it shouldn't really add too much sweetener. It's not like that orange liqueur that's going to increase your sweetness as well, but it is going to kind of round out that cocktail.
Yeah.
And then here is another really fun ingredient that I fell in love with. The original Crusta, when Jerry Thomas published it, was the brandy Crusta. That was what was most popular, especially if you're looking at the 1850s. No, I needed to do a quick personal reference. In the 1850s, especially in New Orleans, brandy and cognac and all those things were super popular because that was pre-phylloxera. So
what do you mean?
This I'll jump into again with our cognac later on. But phylloxera was this little louse that went through grapevines all throughout Europe and just decimated their crops.
Wow.
Which killed wine and it killed,
cognac,
Armagnac,
champagne,
everything.
Yeah.
So once they were getting back on board, they were keeping that for themselves. It wasn't being exported, and that's where the rise of bourbon really blew up in New Orleans. That's why you see a lot of history was it cognac or bourbon or rye?
For sure.
So it was coming down the Mississippi, and the barrels just said bourbon because they were coming from Bourbon County. So that's where it became more prevalent.
Gotcha.
So yeah, hitting that. So with Armagnac, the difference between Armagnac and cognac is the distillation style, which this will get way too nerdy, so I'll try to keep it as high level as I know how to.
Yeah, okay.
Which is still probably, pretty granular.
We're here to talk about it.
Yes. So cognac is made with a pot still. So whenever it's a pot still, you're only making one distillate at a time, which means you're retaining as much flavor as possible. You're not really separating anything. Really, distillation is you're separating, alcohol from whatever that base is. Mm-hmm. With the pot still, you don't have much access to do that. Versus Armagnac is made with a column still. Columns are typically more associated with the Spanish style of spirits, especially in the rum world. You'll see that difference between English and French styles.
It generally speaking, it's like a funkier, more, I guess, advanced flavor, I would say, pot still. But that doesn't mean that column still can't be.
Yeah. It's a lot less efficient.
Okay. Most companies in the United States are all column still. It's rare to find pot stills because they're made of copper.
Yeah.
One, two, the size of this room, if not bigger. Sometimes in places, in Martinique and whatnot, where they're making pot still rum, less efficient, less. It costs way more to pot still.
Yeah.
So that's what we're talking about with pot stilling. So
yeah. So the Armagnac, even when we think column still, you and I, because we think the rum world, it's kind of stripping a lot of flavor and making as neutral of a spirit as possible. In Armagnac, what they would kind of do is roam throughout France and throughout the growing regions that make Armagnac with this little column still, and go to each farmer and kind of convert your yield for you and make that Armagnac. So they were only about 6 or 7. Yeah, I know. My hometown, we had a traveling knife sharpener, but if we had a traveling column still,
distiller,
would have been so much cooler.
Yeah, right. For your you might get one bunch of grapes off your.
Yeah, Elmhurst, if you're listening, let's fucking go.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So, what's even cooler about this Armagnac, why I fell in love with it, because I really wanted to kind of get away from, the crusty old crusta, if you don't hate me for saying it that way.
I don't.
This is an unaged. This is a Blanche Armagnac. So this producer right here is Chateau Arton, and they were the first to produce a Blanche Armagnac. I want to say in 95, and then they've been working with the French AOC, who's kind of their governing body, to make Blanche Armagnac a thing. So starting in, I think, 05, Blanche Armagnac became its own category, and they were really behind this.
I had trouble finding that at a store. I'm glad you had your guy or whatever, because normally Armagnac is a cognac color. It's not sometimes darker. It's normally, you can find it at your liquor store with the cognac, but finding a clear Armagnac to really sell the blue, the blue version of the Crusta, is a little more difficult. But I'm really, really interested to taste it.
So yeah, this is not shot time necessarily, but just so you can see what I'm talking about, why I love this is it's very reminiscent to me.
Looks like it's time to me.
Right, exactly.
A Peruvian pisco.
Oh, okay.
So it still retains a lot of that really beautiful grape note.
Oh, yeah. Dude, definitely brandy nose for sure.
But it doesn't have the barrel aging that cognac or traditional Armagnac would have, which when you're doing that, especially cognac or Armagnac, they're typically using French limousine casks, which are just this style of wood, and they impart a ton of flavor. And you're mostly drinking wood, which is the same thing with why I hate overly barrel-aged bourbons or rums or whatever it may be. Mezcals and tequilas especially.
I want to eat smoky flavor. I don't want to drink smoky flavor.
And this doesn't have that wound cleaning, palate coating aftertaste. It's much cleaner. It just stays light on your palate. It kind of disappears into nothing.
It's quite sweet too. Yeah. Honestly, it's not like Luxardo sweet, but in terms of compared to a rye whiskey or whatnot, this has got a sweeter note. I mean, it's a brandy, and it is really reminiscent of pisco, which is a Peruvian grape brandy.
Yeah, it's a very similar distillation process in Peru to make that. So we're going to use 3 ounces here.
Yeah.
Could go up to 2 ounces, no problem. It's 1.5 for one cocktail. I'm using 3 if we're doing 2.
Yeah.
So 1.5 to 2 ounces would do the trick. I stick with 1.5 on this because, as I mentioned, that sidecar, I always go 1.5 ounces cognac on my sidecar, so it was just kind of falling into the way that my brain plots these cocktail specs mathematically.
Sure. Which is indeed part of the job.
Yeah, it's all part of the fun.
Yeah, right.
So let's shake this up and have some fun.
Definitely.
I've already got that BDX cocktail cube in here.
Yeah.
Remember, that's going to give a lot of that extra aeration. Get that nice tight
Look at
seal.
that color. Is there Ango in here? Did I put that on there by
Yes.
accident?
No, that is absolutely in there.
Okay.
I hit it first.
Okay. I missed
Yeah,
it.
yeah, it was subtle. But kind of going back, what we always say on your cheapest ingredient, even though Angostura by the ounce is super expensive, when you're using it at 1/32 of an ounce per dash,
Right.
it's pretty negligible.
Yeah.
Unless you're shooting it behind the bar.
Yeah. Which we, know a thing or two about.
Well, Trinidad Sour or whatever.
Indeed.
Or
if you're not my real Trinidad,
or if-
remember that one?
Yeah. Okay. Or if Ango happens to be, coated to the kitchen, because
Sure.
whatever.
Yeah.
We're going to shake that up long and hard. The longer that we shake, because this isn't going on any ice, we have no room for forgiveness at all. So
None.
it's got to be perfectly diluted, perfectly chilled, perfectly aerated, because there is no second chance.
This is an advanced cocktail, I would say. In terms of just steps of service, in terms of getting it right, since there is no sugar to fall back on in the cocktail, like we said earlier. For those of you just joining us, we're making an Armagnac Crusta, a cocktail that inherently doesn't have sugar added to it. The sugar is on the rim, like a floral violet sugar. So when you're drinking it, in theory, you get that sugar on your tongue, and then the cocktail balances out that sweet flavor. Look at that
Yes,
color!
sir.
Let's go! We love blue drinks, dude. Yeah, dude. That is awesome. Oh, man. Doesn't that look amazing? Blue
So yeah,
drinks,
Alex had
dude.
mentioned that this bad boy was published. Feel free to
Yes.
head over to Punch and
Yeah.
check that one out.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, there
they
it
just
is.
do some standard Combier, so they left this flair for you guys to see the original OG.
It's beautiful. Yeah. So we see the beautiful violet sugar right here on the side. We have our lemon horse's neck inside the cocktail as the garnish. I'm gonna dig right in here.
Get a red first, Tommy.
Cheers to
Or
cheers
you
to
wanna
you,
share
CJ.
with
Thank you
Bobby?
for being here. Cheers to Art Beyond the Glass. If anyone wants to donate, now is as good a time as ever. We're gonna cheers to Art Beyond the Glass and all of their hard work that they do for bartenders. Here we
Do we
go.
have any hospitality workers at home that are following along that are based out of Los Angeles? Art Beyond the Glass is still taking applications for the COVID relief fund. Please utilize that. It's irresponsible not to.
Yeah, it's awesome that they do that. Wow. So initial question.
Yeah. Well, speak on the cocktail, what do you got? What's your
Just immediately, I'm getting super floral notes from the sugar, obviously, but I think a combination of that, the Luxardo and the Armagnac, I'm getting like perfumey, French, very French notes. I mean, this is a very, I don't know, Armagnac I think is very French. Combier is inherently French. Armagnac is French. What am I talking about? But it's a really nice balance. It's not sweet. It is. I would say the daiquiri we had earlier. Excuse me.
Yeah.
If you're making these drinks with us, the daiquiri was sweet. This is way more balanced, way more nuanced, and I would say more of an advanced palate. What were you going to say?
I mean, I just think it's like what your idolized idea of what like adult lemonade should be. Like it had, it has this very approachable kind of like. There's some booze there for sure, but it has this floral, very polished up, pretty like depth of flavor lemonade. And, like it's just so.
The Luxardo is a big part of
It could
that.
be a patio pounder if you weren't careful. Like you would sip this.
Another thing I'm really enjoying as well is the sugar rim. I get it on my tongue. The drink goes past it, and then the sugar stays there. So I get that.
Does.
I get like a really sweet finish, which is, I mean, if you think about the way a meal is served at a restaurant, you want the last thing you remember at the restaurant to be the dessert, to be the sweet finish, at least for your palate. That's exactly what's going on here. There's definitely a beginning, middle, and end to the flavor, which is something we're striving for with advanced flavors. Questions?
Yeah, so in the chat they're kind of talking about how we love seeing creativity inspiring creativity, and that kind of sinks in with Art Beyond the Glass. And one person in particular is curious about how you're in building a cocktail program, how you took the history of the building and used that to your advantage for the cocktail program, or how was that process for you?
Yeah, I think I want to respect it first off. Was kind of pretty important for me. Just having an opportunity to step into a building of that stature and pulling whatever ties I can without, again, kind of bastardizing anything, but also taking the history and making it as lively as possible. So we'll see that a lot more in the lobby and the lobby menu we're doing. We're really having a big reflection on live music and its importance, just in general, and especially on that property. We've been grateful enough to host Grammys and your Sinatra's. I've got about 8 different albums that were all recorded live there. Sonny and Cher.
Wow. Yeah, I know.
I saw that
on the Instagram, right?
Yeah, Mandrills is incredible.
Mandrill.
So there's some
and
just
all in a very
really,
cool
really,
era to have had those people come through.
Hollywood.
Yeah, so it's really, really fun there. So I definitely wanted to pull inspiration. And then again, like I mentioned, Minoru Yamazaki being the architect. One cocktail I'm super pumped about. And this probably goes like 8 layers too deep than any guest would understand on when I was building this out. But if we're talking about that inspiration, he was a Japanese American from Seattle, and the founder of the New Formalism style of architecture. So
the founder of a style of art.
It's crazy.
It's amazing.
So the cocktail is called the New Formalist, and like I said, it's a kakigori style, so it's a Japanese shave ice, and the ingredients there is plantation pineapple. I'll touch on why plantation pineapple. Calpico, Japanese milk-based,
soda.
Yeah, soft drink, non-carbonated, and a Sakura cherry blossom cordial. So really just a very fancy slushy.
That sounds lovely.
But one of the main reasons too is that Yamazaki went to the University of Washington, and I don't want to be the downer, but a couple of years ago we lost Rocky who was a major influence on the bartending community, who was also from Seattle. He was the main brand ambassador for the Maison Ferrand, so he was a big advocate for plantation pineapple and kind of general bar world. Unfortunately he passed away, but he was also a huge University of Washington fan and advocate. So both of these very inspirational Japanese Americans who happen to grow up and live around Seattle from University of Washington, that's kind of how I'm thinking about going. And that's then served on a beautiful piece of marble with a gold stripe and a white coupe with a gold bowl. So
paying tribute, man.
It's showing the architecture, the people, and kind of the inspiration in each step. So
I'm so excited to visit you.
Inspired?
Like you get to kind of pull from you have a beautiful building, and then you get to pull from the people that have been in the building and the people that created the building, and it's cool. You get to put a melting pot of all those things together and into your glass that's in front of you.
Yeah, and I think the last cocktail that we're going to touch on also kind of pulls into that space and the history of the area too.
For sure.
And how proud their families would be to know that somebody is putting this much attention and focus on the great things they did while they were alive and keeping the story alive through people having a night out in LA.
Yeah.
So admittedly, I also selfishly put on my own inspired cocktail of called the Giuseppe. This is now the 3rd property I've had it on, but I just can't get rid of it. And that's actually named after my great-grandfather.
Nice, dude.
So on the south side of Chicago, we used to stomp grapes in his garage and make this really garbage wine.
Whoa!
He brought the family over
wine.
from Italy, from Calabria. So that is kind of an homage to all things grape.
Yeah.
So that is made with verjus, unfermented grape juice.
Wow,
Pisco, as we had mentioned, so kind of that distilled. Prosecco being your fermented and bubbly, and then a little bit of Italicus Rosolio de Bergamasco to round it out, which is pulling southern Italian citrus and bergamot, which kind of shows that homage. So the Giuseppe, one of my favorites, will be coming back.
And his name was Giuseppe?
Yeah, Grandpa Joe.
Dude, to Grandpa Joe.
To Grandpa Joe.
You've done him well, man. You've done him well.
Yeah, that's a great question, whoever asked that. And like I said earlier, keep it. Hang on to it.
Yeah, this stuff isn't an accident.
No, this is
we don't fuck our way through a shift.
Exactly.
And then say fuck you guys when you leave.
No, it's some real shit. So I'm in my head just thinking about how excited I am to taste all of CJ's cocktails, but to go to a beautiful, historic, beautiful hotel. Take the time and go Google right now. Fairmont Century Plaza Hotel, and you'll see some incredible images and some artwork, and it's in a really beautiful part of town. So
follow us on Insta, Fairmont Century Plaza, at Lumiere _Brasserie, at Repeal Cocktails, selfishly. But check us out. We're not playing around.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Staycation, vacation, wherever you are.
Right,
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Y'all
And a
gotta
kid
check
who
this
grew
out.
up close enough to Chicago has a proper appreciation of architecture.
Yes, that was one of the things that broke my heart when I moved here.
Yeah.
Strip
You don't like
malls.
our downtown skyline?
Well, you know, it's a city
When they
of
were like,
strip mall and-
Yahtzee style architecture.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll just pull it from all different
The
cultures.
thing is that you like it's a bunch of garbage, and then you like stumble upon.
There's some really
Incredible.
stunning stuff.
Oh,
still.
of course,
building.
of course,
Yeah.
of course.
So that just come with the time of being around Los Angeles for the past couple of years and actually
Yeah.
exploring
You
more
have to
and
dig in.
getting away from East Hollywood, outside of Gold Diggers being the gem on Santa Monica here.
Here we are. This is our home.
My
yeah.
other side of the 101 where I used to live wasn't quite as stunning, so
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it took a while to kind of
Well, and
assimilate.
it's also, I think it's a big switch here, is you find the beauty in the architecture more of people's homes.
Yes.
And what people were doing in the craftsman movement and in, building these mid-century homes versus Chicago where you had Burnham come in and be like, I will heal you after the World's Fair.
Right.
And had carte blanche on the entire city.
Yeah.
It's his baby and everyone has to live within those rules. Versus LA, they were like, everyone's rules.
Yeah, good luck.
Which
Figure
is
it out.
classic LA.
Truly a melting
Rooms full of adults and no one makes a decision.
That's real.
That's LA.
So I'm at the tail end of this cocktail. I just want to talk about it really quickly. And I, this is how I taste things. I like to try to taste them from every different angle. Make the way that a lot of people get scared when the word palate comes in. Like I've trained bartenders and they're like, "Well, my palate's not great." Everyone has the same palate for the most part, unless you physically can't taste or smell, which is definitely a thing.
Go get
but-
tested.
Yeah, exactly. But for the most part, everyone has the same palate. The trick, you should have some of that. Trent's pouring some of this out. The trick is when you're tasting something, to breathe out with your nose is generally when tasting wine, tasting a cocktail. Keep the cocktail in your mouth, breathe out with your nose, and then swallow, and then breathe out again with your nose, and try to pair it up with things that you have tasted before. And the more things that you taste, the more adventurous the cocktail, the food, whatever, the more your palate will expand, and you can say, hey, this tastes like this. A true professional sommelier, a cicerone, a master bartender, whatever, or chef, has tasted a lot of things and can tell you this tastes like this. The more you can say, hey, for instance, this cocktail, a very basic palate, you could say, this tastes like lemon. There's nothing wrong with that. Right. They're correct. They could say, you know what, this tastes like cherries. It tastes like this. And the more advanced flavors, like you could say this tastes like the Jaggery syrup that we had earlier that we got to taste,
Right.
The more and more
there's
you're...
something date or like
Yeah,
dual date
if you,
or
if
there's
you've
something
eaten dates or, like...
Raisins,
molasses, exactly.
Coca-Cola.
And the one of my favorite examples of a wild flavor paired with a spirit is in rum, particularly. We say rotting bananas. That's definitely a thing. Yep. We say rotting fruit, whatever. Like when you walk past a dumpster that smells really bad, sometimes you get like a weird, like funky odor. Sometimes you get that aroma off of different spirits. So the more and more you're tasting things, take inventory of what it is that comes to your mind immediately, and that's how you grow your palate. This isn't like, I'm not trying to mansplain how to taste things. I'm really just trying to explain what a bartender does when they're tasting lots of drinks. So, perfect example. This cocktail, I'm tasting lemon right off the bat. I'm tasting heavy cherry for sure, and that I think is a combination of the Blanche Armagnac and the Luxardo. I'm tasting the floral violet sugar. For instance, we have honeysuckle that grows on the side of our house. We walk past it all the time, and I smell this wonderful perfumey aroma. I can tie that into the violet sugar. I'm tasting orange a little bit from the triple sec. When I breathe out with my nose, there's just a really complex group of flavors happening, and it's important to take inventory of all those flavors. So is there a question? I see.
No, I was just gonna add on to that and say, like, also taste things that you don't want to taste.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
if you have
Yes.
if you're by limestone, lick a limestone.
Yeah, fuck
then
it
you'll
up.
know.
Right,
You know,
exactly.
like you won't know if something tastes like limestone until
Right.
you lick a limestone.
And the thing about having a good palate doesn't mean you have to like or dislike things. It just means that you have tasted that and said, hey, it's not for me, but I know what it tastes like. So,
it's like a physical experience too. That was a crazy thing for me to learn, like, there are certain flavors that hit a physical location on your tongue differently than other flavors. So when something is totally coating the back, you're like, there must be a lot of sugar in this.
Yeah.
That the back of my tongue is kind of swelling up.
Literally salivating.
I'm like,
acid will start affecting your cheeks.
Yeah, and your cheeks.
Salivating.
They talk about that tang when making a burgundy sauce.
I mean, I put MSG on our bacon today for our bacon pesto BLT.
And on the pickles.
Magic salt granules.
It's magic salt. It literally makes you salivate.
Yeah.
So,
thank you, dude. MSG.
Let's go.
All we had to do was talk about MSG.
That's actually a great segue. The little cha-ching to the next.
Well, I was going to say the next thing in the iPad. Skip past it?
Shall I
skip it? Oh no, we were right. All right, it is time. No, it is time for our favorite part of the show, the shot donation spree. Come on, Trent, with the sound effects. Yes, let's go. So I have a little game planned here. CJ, in honor of you, I brought the residuals of the Malort that was mailed to us.
Which high school did you go to?
I'm a Duke.
Okay.
He's a Duke?
York Community High School.
York Community, there we go.
Yeah.
So he knows about Malort. But I have a little game here of this or that I have prepared for our friend CJ here. So we're going to hold our shot glass, and I'm going to ask him this or that, and he'll answer off the cuff. But before we do that, there's a question.
No, just, it's a donation spree.
Oh, this is
so
a donation
donating
spree.
To?
Today we are donating to Art Beyond the Glass. Thank you, Autumn.
Yeah.
Art Beyond the Glass is, if you're just joining us now, all the donations to today's show, they're scrolling across the bottom of the screen, are going to Art Beyond the Glass, an organization that helps put on events. Normally, before the pandemic, they help put on events that help bartenders who are artists showcase their art. And during the pandemic, they've shifted their model to collecting money for bartender, hospitality, server, industry worker fund that is helping people get through the pandemic.
For doing what the government failed to do.
Exactly. The government has failed us. It's up to us. What could be more American than us trying to figure out what the fuck to do?
You know what the purist would say?
What would the purist say, Trent?
The private citizens will stand. This is trickle-down economics.
Oh, God.
The private sector will take care of it.
It makes... I don't want you to look at... Oh, we all drinking Malort? Here we go. We may as well. All right. So, this is our little game of this or that that I want to do with every guest during the shot donation spree. If you haven't donated, if you can donate $1, 50 cents, 75 cents, it doesn't matter. We are, we're grateful to help a group of humans out here in Los Angeles who are doing good. That's what we're trying to do, is raise awareness and help people who are doing the right thing. If we can't do the right thing, let's give money to the people who are doing the right thing.
100%.
Right?
100%.
All right, so CJ, here we go. This or that. Ready? Lemon or lime?
Lime.
Beach day or hiking day?
Beach day.
Citron or orange vodka?
Orange vodka.
Silver or gold?
Silver.
France or Italy?
Italy.
Rainy day or snowy day?
Rainy day.
Port or sherry?
Sherry.
All right. Bam! Speed round. Honestly,
dude, he did that in 12 seconds. We have 4 minutes. We have over 4:45 left.
That was the speed round.
I've got extra questions too, just in case.
That was the speed round.
We'll do Illinois trivia.
To be honest, everything we line up.
State flower.
We line up on every single thing except I would say gold for silver or gold.
I was thinking tequila in that.
Oh,
so I was like, I don't like aged tequila.
Well, he didn't take the 3 dots job.
That's true. Here we go. All right, so now is the desert island. Is that donations I just heard? Let's go! Let's go!
Sorry, switching apps.
Yes, let's go.
Switching back.
All right, and now it comes the portion where I ask you the desert island portion. So say CJ is stranded on a desert island.
Oh, no.
What is...
But it's nice.
It's a nice island. Yeah, there's a couple trees for shade. There's freshwater access.
There's a bar.
Potentially.
A tiki bar? Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
there's bamboo. You can build a tiki bar.
Build the bar.
Right. Is there a $30,000 centrifuge to separate citric oils? Yes, there is. Let's say your favorite desert island cocktail. One cocktail you have to drink for the rest of your life.
Not good for a desert, but a Negroni.
A Negroni.
Hands down.
Good boy.
Yeah.
Negroni. I mean, I should have guessed that.
Yeah.
Negroni week's like your favorite week of the year. It's like...
Yeah, I mean, every week's Negroni week if you believe in yourself. It's just the
if
perfect
you're not
drink.
a terrorist.
As we're talking about like developing your palate, that's one of those perfect cocktails.
truly.
You know, same thing with coffee. It takes a couple
yeah.
of tastes to start to enjoy it.
And a great barometer of like what you may be dealing with on the other side of the bar.
Oh, sure. In
call
terms of
you call
testing
Negroni on a bartender.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, I've seen a lot of shaking, a lot of vermouth coming out of a well, a lot of
Oh, brutal. By the way, I guess now's as good a time as ever. We talk about it every single week. I will leave your house if I show up and vermouth is not in the fridge. Vermouth stays in the fridge. Say it with me.
Vermouth
stays in the fridge. We have it out here because this is a brand new bottle that I literally haven't opened yet, but this lives in the fridge. It is a fortified wine. It goes bad. Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool. Vermouth stays in the fridge.
Its job is to create funk at room temp.
Yeah, and we don't
That's
want
what it
that.
will do.
We don't want that. We don't want twangy vermouth. Okay, cool. Desert Island Cocktail is the Negroni ultimate respect.
Getting in the groom zone.
If you had one bottle of alcohol to forever manifest itself and appear every single day on said desert island, what would that bottle be? Wow!
Respect.
Probably a Russell's.
That was easy. Here
Maybe even the 101, just because, you know,
I mean,
like the
after the
consistency.
story-
Single barrel kind of changes a little bit, just very
Yeah.
slightly, though,
Okay.
the same
So
characteristic.
Russell's Reserve, let's say not the single barrel, the 100.
The 10-year, maybe?
Okay.
Yeah, Russell's 10.
So a whiskey guy.
Yeah, if
Okay.
Wait, do I have ice there? Ah, shit.
Well, no, this is just a bottle. This is like
That's
something
all.
that, you know, for instance, at home, when I am looking at our home bar or whatever, and I see the beautiful Nissan, you know, this is a bottle, for instance, that when I see it, I'm like, oh man, drinking's tight, you know, or alcohol is great, you know? Same thing
This is fun.
with Smith & Cross, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's something about it that, like, inspires, like, a little devil appearing on my shoulder, and I love it. And this bottle particularly reminds me of really great times, for sure. So there's something special about that. So for you, it would be Russell's.
Yeah, if we're talking about my home bar, the one bottle that tends to be purchased frequently would be coming out of Wild Turkey. So
All right.
one of their SKUs.
Good to know.
It's great.
I mean, and we
I
love
mean,
Wild
after
Turkey.
the story, that's my vibe.
I mean,
like,
exactly,
dude,
yeah.
the fact the son had to wait 35 years,
To become a
like
master
that,
distiller.
like
yeah, it's brutal.
that alone is so.
There's a third
badass.
generation. Bruce, you'll get
I'm
there
sure.
soon enough. You got like 25 more years, buddy. I know you're probably watching.
Bruce,
We'll
don't
get there.
believe the lie, brother. Don't believe it. Go to Woodford.
For those of you guys just joining us, we are live right now with CJ Catalano, incredible world-class bartender here. He's the beverage director of the Fairmont Century Plaza Hotel. We are honored to have him here at Gold Diggers with us here for our 13th episode of Very Good Cocktails. He's been walking us through some incredible cocktails, and we've been having a great conversation.
Yeah.
We appreciate you joining us today. All of the donations right now during the spree and for the entire show, but especially right now, are going to Art Beyond the Glass, an incredible organization that helps service, hospitality service industry, men, women, and non-binary folk get what they need during the pandemic. Is there a question?
Daniel Yang
Jenny? Yeah.
is here with us. He's the co-founder of Art Beyond the Glass.
Love it!
He says,
Hey,
much love.
thank you,
for having
Daniel.
us
Here, we are honored to have you here. Thank you
Yeah,
for
it
You
is
do
a
incredible
pleasure.
work.
Dan Sabo wanted to thank you for the Warriors recommendation, by the way. He said it's an incredible show.
Oh,
I haven't seen
So
that one.
that's some direct
Based off the
feed
movie?
right there.
straight up.
No,
Based off, like, the
Bruce Lee
Warriors?
or some shit.
Oh, that's the newest one.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know what? My friend Taku Hirano highly recommended that show. I gotta check it out.
So,
All
great
right,
cases always.
we're in the shot donation spree. We're on the clock, not really, but we are. We have our own bartender's clock, which never stops. ticking.
Yeah.
So okay,
Takes a licking.
It's always
Never
5 minutes
stops
somewhere,
ticking.
you know?
Desert Island Cocktail is the Negroni.
Yes.
Desert Island Bottle is
Russell's
Russell's
Reserve.
Reserve. Desert Island Record, so musical record. If you had to listen to the same record over and over and over,
Yeah.
What is it?
One album.
one album.
No girl talk.
I mean,
College
mashup.
Dropout.
College Dropout.
Oh.
Kanye West.
Kanye.
Respect.
That's
That
a
is a
good
great
one.
record.
Yeah.
Illinois boy. I don't care that he's crazy.
He's a Chicago boy.
At the time, he was,
Dude.
pink polos.
I'll fucking defend him with you, dude.
Hello.
If you want to go to court as a law firm about this, I will.
Anderson Paak had a hoodie on recently. I saw on whatever that it looked like Old Navy, but it said Old Kanye on it, which
Oh
to
my
me
God.
was I was like, oh
That
my
hits
god,
on
it
every
is so
level.
One
hard, dude.
solitary Echoing into the night.
Absolutely, man. I mean, it's old Kanye. There's nothing like it. So, and we wish him the best. We hope he finds the mental help that he needs.
Yes.
Get away from that family as fast as you can.
Exactly, dog. Go back to your roots. We are here for it, and we can't wait for.
Call your mom, Kanye.
All right, and yeah, that's real. The last desert island question is desert island meal. You have to eat the same meal every day for the rest of your life. What is it?
Chicken parm.
Chicken parm.
A true Italian boy.
Oh,
washing it down to the Negroni.
Yeah, give me some chicken parms and an ice cold Negroni. And
here's the question: is the chicken parm on top of spaghetti or no?
It's irresponsible not to. That's a combo deal.
How do I eat my starch without starch?
Yeah,
exactly. How do I eat my starch-crusted protein that's deep fried?
You're too skinny. You need to eat.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know what? Chicken parm fucking rules. And you know what?
He used to slice the garlic with a razor blade.
It would melt in the sauce.
Bottle of fuck off.
Yeah, right. All right. So as we raise our glasses, I have one more question. CJ, what are you most grateful for?
I mean, right now it's this for sure. I've mentioned it to you so many times. I have not stepped behind an active bar since November 2019.
We are grateful to have you.
We're happy to have
my
you.
friend.
It's incredible.
It's our pleasure.
This is Malort here. For those of you who don't know, a fine Chicago.
Who sent
distilled
us this?
spirit.
It was Constantine, right?
No, it was my friend Ethan Bullock.
Oh.
Ethan mailed us a bottle of Malort for us just because he wanted to watch.
For those of you
taste.
looking
Thank
to
you,
develop
Ethan.
your palate,
Yeah, right.
get a load of this.
It's good to know what you don't like as well. So cheers. CJ, thank you for being here.
I mentioned my time at CH Distillery, who is now making Malort for the first time in several years.
Wow.
Brought it out of that garbage state of Florida and back to Chicago and making it fresh in Pilsen and tastes as sweet as ever.
Honestly,
Yeah, they built a beautiful distillery. Honestly, they got over the branding rights from Jepson's and have been changing the game ever since.
do they give tours where they jack you in the face before you walk into
Yeah,
the
dude,
That's
that's-
Give you a shot of Malort.
Yeah,
Hit you with a Hurley stick.
Tastes like the day Dad left. It's
Now,
one of my favorite.
Can I ask
It's
a
like
question?
your
Yes,
though?
question.
Do you like Malort, TJ?
Acquired.
Yeah.
I love it.
Like, I really genuinely enjoy it, but it goes
Yeah.
back to that bitterness in the Negroni
Right.
world. Like, same way, I've had a lot of friends who
Right.
aren't in the industry at all who want to take shots of Fernet with me because they think that that's what they should do. Not my favorite.
Yeah, sure. You know what? That was going to be
I got burnt
this
out.
or that
I got
question.
burnt out.
You said Malort or Fernet, or we said Malort and Fernet.
I
and
said
I was
Malort
like,
or
he's going to
Fernet.
say Malort.
Is he Chicago kid?
Yeah, you'd say Malort. So Fernet Bronco or just Fernet in general?
Bronca.
Yeah.
Which
I mean, what's Menta?
Right. We have the
Yeah,
Yellowneck
well-
that we keep at home.
Well,
just 'cause
now
it's-
I just
check,
know
please.
yeah.
people talk poorly about
Check.
Malort, and I think
Love
that
it.
there's always a space to say, but some people do enjoy the taste. It's not that bad.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, it tastes subjective.
You're the OG of being like,
Yeah, you
you
like that.
defended Malort back to day one.
That's
Right?
right.
I mean, you were like, I love Malort.
Love it.
Now,
Yeah.
with that, I let y'all in my secret earlier. I do keep all my Malort in a decanter on my liquor shelf.
Yeah, the good stuff.
There's a full bottle next to it at any given point, but just so
Oh.
it's the trick. I'm like, well, the Malort's there. That might be the same color, but why would he decant
Very
Malort?
smart.
It's so hilarious, dude. Put in
Genius.
It's got a
Malort.
killer skin contact. Santa
It
Barbara.
does look like an orange wine.
Best room. It's best room.
Yeah,
God.
natty Malort. Beautiful.
Hazy.
Natty Malort.
Oh my god.
That's a good boiler.
Might be a window there in
I
LA
mean-
for us.
I would. All right, so that is the end of our shot donation spree. We are grateful to have CJ here with us. And next up, I've been excited for every cocktail that we've made, especially the blue one that we just had the Armagnac crust of. But this cocktail, to me, it really pulled the most intrigue when looking at the build. So let's go through it. The Century City.
Yeah, so this one is the Century City. The kind of multifaceted inspiration on this one, starting with the Brooklyn cocktail in New York.
Sure.
And
What's the Brooklyn cocktail for those who might not know?
so Brooklyn cocktail is going to be rye, vermouth. It was originally made with Ameripecon. Now there's all sorts of different substitutes, but that kind of spanned a whole slew of other cocktails throughout New York. So it started with the Manhattan with, your 2-on-2. Then you had the Brooklyn, and then around 05, especially the Milk and Honey team, a lot of those New York bars, thank you so much,
Thank you for the donations. I
started
love it.
making the Green Points and the, the Why can't I think of
Park
it?
Slope.
Park Slope.
Park
Thank
Park
you.
Slope, yeah.
Queen Park Swizzle does sound delightful.
Dude,
However,
we made it for my birthday. It was so damn good.
So you start seeing all these other neighborhoods kind of get their own thing, and when I came out here in LA, is such a neighborhood-driven community.
Like meaning, I don't want to travel. I don't want to drive to your neighborhood.
Well, it's a city based on 80 different small towns.
100%.
So
very well said.
I found it very silly that there was still no hometown pride or Los Angeles pride outside of like the Moscow Mule or the Brown Derby or a few of those cocktails. You can't think of too many that actually like stem and have permeated outside of Los Angeles.
Sure.
So this was my challenge for the rest of you who may be watching in Los Angeles to make a cocktail and name a neighborhood after it, and let's.
Hell yeah.
My one real trick here is for us millennial nerds, search engine optimization. Now every time you search Century City cocktail,
this is gonna pop up.
You see this recipe in Fairmont Century Plaza.
Hell yeah, dude.
That's a great tip for
it might be cheating, but I'll take it.
It's not cheating.
So
dude.
with the build, the inspiration for the name came from that Brooklyn style, but the build comes from the Vieux Carré. So the Vieux Carré, especially the Lumiere Brasserie being kind of this California French inspired, is the French Quarter is the translation, but that's the neighborhood in New Orleans, and that was the actual recipe build inspiration there. So that's traditionally made with split base, so our base being your mezcal and your cognac, split 1-to-1 as opposed to just cognac or just mezcal. There it's cognac and rye. And then instead of it's Ancho Reyes, it's Benedictine and sweet vermouth, and then Engo Peychaud's instead of orange.
So for those of you guys who have never had a Vieux Carré, although it's one of the most requested cocktails we've had on the show, and we've yet to make it, but a Vieux Carré is a very traditional New Orleans cocktail, as CJ said, equal parts rye and cognac, with the vermouth, with Benedictine, it's Peychaud's and Engo.
Yeah, it's split there too as well. Engo, Peychaud, 1-1.
Exactly. So this is so great that you're, dude. I'm all about naming or creating a new neighborhood cocktail, like a Brooklyn or a Bronx or a Manhattan or whatever. And for those of you guys who don't know anything about any of these liqueurs, Ancho Reyes is an ancho liqueur, like ancho chilies. So this isn't like inherently a spicy liqueur. I wouldn't describe it as like super spicy.
It keeps kind of the char more than anything.
If you've ever made like a chili paste at home to marinate your shrimp or chicken or steak in, just smelling it right off the bat, it smells like a bag of dried ancho chilies, and it is inherently Los Angeles. This.
I didn't see that bottle till I moved.
These two ingredients, mezcal and Ancho Reyes, like.
That's LA.
So that's exactly it. When I was taking this, New York name and New Orleans French inspiration, I wanted something that was really screaming Los Angeles. So that's swapping out mezcal. Mezcal and cognac rarely play together. That's because no one's put them in the same room very often. It's not that they can't.
That's why I'm so intrigued by this.
And then a little bit of ancho, because I have not worked any property in Los Angeles so far where I haven't had the request for a spicy mezcal drink.
Exactly.
Spicy mezcal?
So it's really just as like close to a classic Los Angeles cocktail without being a skinny spicy margarita.
100%.
And
I'm so sold.
Do you guys have habanero bitters?
Yeah, exactly. I find making stirred cocktails so much more challenging but enjoyable once you finally hit it. Anyone can throw a lot of ingredients together and shake the hell out of it, and it's probably palatable because it's ice cold and very forgiving. Versus
we've talked about that on the show. Is that it takes practice. It's one of those things that you can watch a million videos on how to do it, but depending quite literally on the barometric pressure where you are, the quality of ice, the mineral the quantity of minerals in your ice, the humidity that day, everything depends on where you are, and so it's one of those things you need to just do, and if it tastes too hot, tastes too diluted, hot meaning understirred, it's something you just need to do and practice, and get ready to pour some alcohol down the drain.
It's something like me and Autumn talk about a lot is confidence.
Right.
I mean, you elude so much confidence. You've been here before, or exude. Sorry, but you've been here before. You've done this. Like, there's a lot to be said too about like having confidence in knowing this will turn out well.
You've done it once or twice or thrice or whatever. Yeah. So. just something to practice.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hour rule. It's just keep grinding and
100%.
doing and doing and doing.
Yep.
When I first started getting into cocktails, I was still working out in the suburbs. And first floor was an Irish pub. Second floor was a nightclub on the weekends.
Sold.
I started off as a bar back with my kitchen in the basement and running up 2 flights of stairs with
only in Illinois, baby. Only in Illinois.
Was that Tilted Kilt or something like that?
It was a snuggery, which if you've ever been out on the north side.
Well, I'm from the Rockford area.
Oh, so you know the
Illinois.
a la carte entertainment.
Yes, I do.
Entertainment, dude.
Yes, I do.
Loosely. The word entertainment is used loosely.
Very.
Exactly.
So and like I mentioned when you're going to the liquor store, buy a modifier with your base spirit.
Right.
Yes.
And I kind of
I love
took that
that.
same aspect. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to take it very serious. And I would call it my book's intuition. So I would go and buy a couple of cocktail books, and then my tuition was buying spirits and just continually working it until I felt really comfortable with it.
Absolutely.
Until someone was willing to pay me to learn with their ingredients, I wanted to have the confidence to step in and actually
You
be
created
comfortable
your
with it.
own trade school.
Right.
Yeah, more or less. So now I'm just trying to funnel more people into it.
I have questions for you after this cocktail that relate to that. Don't let me forget to ask them, because
Yes.
I have the perfect questions to
Please.
balance out that conversation. This is awesome.
So
Cool.
let's talk through
Let's
this one.
do it. Let's do
I
it.
can also, give some details on each of these
Please.
ingredients as
Love
we
it.
go. Again, I'm doubling up, so don't call me out for messing up my specs.
Making
They-
2 of them.
They are on point, I promise you.
Yeah.
So here we have 4 dashes of Reagan's Orange, 2 for you. Really give it some force. If you just kind of dribble, it's not going to work out for you.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, do it with confidence, really commit to it.
Right.
So there we have our couple of dashes. This is listed at a 1/4 ounce. This could realistically be a teaspoon. So I'm going to go a little scant here.
Scant meaning less.
Yeah, just shy
Skinny.
of my 1/2 ounce.
I've heard skinny half.
Yeah.
Skinny fat, yeah,
Right.
there's...
Or shy if we're doing the
Shy, if we're
words.
cutting raw.
If we're cutting raw wood.
Yeah.
So here we have our Carpano Antica formula. This was early 1700s. I'm sure it says it right here. I was wrong. It's late, so 1786. Dare I?
Yeah, exactly.
One of the most notable takeaways from this is pure vanilla. Like
Yeah.
outside of any barrel-aged spirit that we would say has it kind of tastes like vanilla because vanillin lives in oak and imparts that flavor. They actually add vanilla, so you're not off by any means there. And it's full body too, so it really gives richness. If you don't have Carpano Antica, and you're going to go with something like maybe Cocchi Vermouth Torino would be my second Italian sweet vermouth.
Okay.
It's a little bit thinner, so I'd up that slightly to maybe even 1 ounce.
Right.
I have not tested that, so don't hold me.
Carpano Antica, generally speaking, though, is the vermouth for a lot of really great cocktail bars. It's really an industry standard. If you're trying to build a home bar, when just getting into vermouth, I always recommend buying the smaller bottles.
They sell these in 375, so take advantage of it.
Super small, 375 milliliters. Get small vermouth because it does go bad, and you can do a tasting of all of them. As we used to joke around at a particular bar where I was employed for a number of years. It was high volume and may have not made tiki drinks. We used to test the Carpano Antica frequently per shift to make sure it was still good.
Done that with Sherry once or twice.
Exactly, right. But it's got a distinct bitter finish, which is awesome. And not like Campari bitter, but like a really balanced beginning, middle, and end of flavor.
Enough so that you can drink it on its own.
Yeah, you
because
should.
you want it to have the slight bitterness for it
almost,
to be rounded.
Almost rosemary flavor.
There is not a single vermouth maker in the world who makes their vermouth to play well with cocktails, especially when they're making it in 1786.
Yeah,
when
cocktails didn't
that's
exist,
20
right.
years before the definition. This was made to drink on its own.
Wow.
Especially in Italy, it wasn't until the Mito came through from Davide Campari, the founder, which was mixing Campari from Milan with vermouth from Torino. That was the introduction, kind of grandfather of the Negroni, but their first deluge into.
We talked about that when you did a little digging on the history of the Negroni. That was fun.
Mito to the Americano.
Count Negroni
Count Camillo.
It's crazy
exactly.
how many of them are like a fuck you to somebody too.
Right.
Right?
Well,
like,
very
I'll fucking do that to
like
you.
Lamborghini Ferrari.
The Martinez was like some guy rolled into a bar in Southern California and like wanted something sweeter than and like they're like fuck you, and then they make a cocktail.
Right.
That stands the test of time.
Right. No, or that was the Americano.
Or the Americano. Yes.
The Negroni was a stronger version of the Americano from our research.
Yeah,
right?
because like, Count Camillo was, honestly, I swear they needs a biopic for him, and I'm sorry to jive back into the Negroni, but it is my favorite. He comes from Italy, he's a count, travels to the United States, and then continues to travel the country as a rodeo cowboy and gambler.
For sure.
Wow.
So he would just travel the country, like making a ton of money doing rodeo cowboy, and then gamble it all away and have to move to the next city. And then once he kind of burned all of his bridges in the U.S., he moved to London, and this was right in the heart of the gin craze.
Yeah.
So he was really getting into these American cocktails, and I love this London gin, so let's make this Americano with gin instead. Or so one of the multiple stories goes. But it's my favorite story, so I'm sticking to it.
Who was it? I think it was
Let's
you.
rate the script.
Who was it that, I think it was you that said, we love cocktail history because it's told by drunks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
right.
I say that all the time.
Yeah.
And also, I can't be held accountable for it because,
Yeah. Right. We're drinking and telling history as we know it. Oral tradition, if you will.
So that is a perfect transition into Pierre Ferrand 1840
Yes.
First Grand Cru, because this was actually a spirit that was made in collaboration with a genuine cocktail historian who may not be as much of a drunk, but we can see him all the time. Dave Wondrich, who is absolutely incredible. So the
god.
Yeah, the Maison Ferrand found a bottle from 1840. As I mentioned, it was a pre-phylloxera cognac. So this was what cognac tasted before that phylloxera louse went and decimated grapevines throughout Europe. So they started making this cognac to replicate the original flavor of pre-phylloxera cognac, which is really, really unique and really fun here.
I didn't know that. That's great.
That's
so
no wonder it's so fucking good.
A nice little fun note on why this is such a fun one. I do have, I think, Henny listed. Honestly, any great cognac is gonna work here. The dirty secret of cognac is there's 4 big major players that really make all of the cognac, and there's a few small grower producers like Ferrand here, Commandant. There's a few out there, but really it's Martel, Remy Cointreau, Hennessy, and Courvoisier.
Yeah, sure.
Those are the big 4, and they buy grapes from all over the cognac region, tend to make it. So whenever you see a label that's not from them, it's probably coming from an individual grower producer. But because Hennessy is one of the top 4, that means they have the first right of refusal for the best grapes in the country. So by no means that make it an inferior product. But yeah, whenever we can, let's throw some money to the little guys.
Exactly.
Fuck yeah.
Right.
Keep the fight fair.
And we love Pierre Ferrand, as you said, Maison Ferrand, or like the House of Ferrand. They're responsible for all of the plantation rums, which are some of my favorites in existence.
Truly incredible.
And they're working with modern day bartenders to create incredible product. I could talk all day, and plus all the reps that I've ever encountered. Alexander came to 3 Dots and a Dash and did a whole class with the bartenders there about the plantation rum, and it was exceptional. I learned so much that day, and yeah, it's a bartender friendly company, which we love.
Yeah, so they treat us well and want to return that favor.
Yeah.
And then the last ingredient here is going to be our mezcal. So this is from Del Maguey. This is Vita. Del Maguey as a brand was founded by Ron Cooper. If you've never heard of him or seen him, he's a little stoner artist dude who loved going to Mexico to make art and probably, enjoy some peyote or whatever he's doing.
Sure.
So he started Del Maguey when he was traveling back from Mexico and had to dump out about 5 gallons of wedding level mezcal that was like a celebration mezcal at the border. He said, "This is bullshit. I want to import it. This is liquid art." So he kind of founded Del Maguey.
I didn't know that. That's great.
Yeah, and it started with Chichicapa because he really loves the single village. That's the proper response.
I can hear that word.
We have a couple. There's single villages.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got the Chichicapa right here, and another one of our San Pablos. So he's always been really dedicated to making incredible single varietal or single village mezcals.
You can use the Chichicapa.
Speaking of palate, we should probably do a vertical tasting.
Yeah, definitely have to come back to that.
Yeah, right. Well, maybe after the class.
So with that, the Chichicapo is super popular on the East Coast in New York, but it's really fucking expensive because it is small producers.
What is this?
Yeah, it would
like
typically, if you're at a bar, it would probably cost you about $22, $23 for a shot.
Sure.
Versus this, which is Delmigay Vita, and this launched in 2010, and this is Espadine as the base, which a lot of these are because Espadine is one of the most highly cultivated types of agave that make mezcal. But this is more of a blend. It's not necessarily dedicated to a single village. So it made it affordable and really just allowed mezcal to become a cocktail ingredient and kind of transcend outside of those little cocktail hubs or plastic tubs with worms.
Sure.
There was really, that was all you could find.
Delis with worms.
Yeah, right.
So here I'm going to hit this with a little
Love it.
2-ounce baddie.
So, and for those of you at home, odds are in your local liquor store you'll be able to find this,
Vita.
the Vita Delmigay Vita, the San Luis Vita. These are the single village mezcals that you'll find maybe next to this. This bottle is $7.50, right? This is about $36, $35 at the liquor store. Thank you for the donations. We love it. This is a lot more expensive because it's just like wine. When you can, say the Chardonnay from Burgundy, if you can zone in on the square mile or square kilometer in this case where it came from, the tradition to keep how do I say this? Like the attention to detail.
Yeah.
It's
like
really,
the AOC in France.
It's, yeah, exactly.
They specialize.
It's what you're paying for. So you want to make sure that you're. How do I say this? How do I say this kindly? When you're buying mezcal, that you are respecting said small villages and not putting up a fight when it comes to paying for that. Right.
Not creating a pencil factory.
Exactly. Right.
As it were.
Yeah. But no, these particular ones are going to be way more expensive, and they're worth it. And you know what? What is it? The pechuga is the one where they hang chicken hearts.
Oh wow!
That's the celebration style.
Yeah,
it's more ceremonial. They'll hang a raw chicken over the actual roast to incorporate some.
As they're roasting the agave.
As they're roasting the agave. Yeah.
That chicken itself had been fed with a ton of berries, and
it's a big deal.
Whole
it's a big
process
deal.
behind
it's
it.
It's like mezcal is, it is for shooting out here in Los Angeles, but as is any spirit, I think particularly mezcal deserves a lot of respect. There
as much respect as bourbon.
Yeah,
if not right, more. The roasting and the aging. And
I would say more.
Yeah,
because honestly,
there's so much more
takes
craftsmanship.
8 to 12 years to grow and cultivate.
Yeah.
Corn we get every year.
And
it's subsidized.
Shoulder high by July, baby.
Yeah,
exactly. It's government subsidized.
Yeah, so it's going to be cheaper versus these small villages, having to grow and not only that, protect it because it has become so much more popular throughout America. If you think that packaged stuffs in Los Angeles are out of control, like
oh my god, talk about
actually going and robbing raw agave is very common. So
talk about InBev.
There's another there's another economical choice of mezcal down there on the bottle too. Banez.
Yeah, that's in our well here at Gold Diggers. Which, by the way, if you're not a Los Angelino, well mezcal is a thing.
It's a thing.
And it's good.
So, all right, really quickly, talk to us about these glasses, CJ. These are Nick.
This is a Nick and Nora glass. It's definitely going to be a little bit smaller than our coupe that has a wider bowl. That kind of more of a tulip allows everything to be a little more concentrated. It's better for stirred drinks. The same way it concentrates your nose. It allows you to smell the aromatic. Right now, I'm allowed to kind of have this sitting on ice. I call this kind of preheating, or it's starting to cook. But until I start stirring, I'm not too worried about it actually over-diluting or just getting there. The Nick and Nora was actually named after a couple of fictional characters who happen to be drunks. Weird how that happened.
Weird.
I can't quite remember the name of the book or the story where that kind of drives from. But yeah, they can be really beautiful. Both these are kind of etched and really just gorgeous. And the main reason...
Go ahead.
Yeah, the main reason why I have these with ice and water right now, I couldn't necessarily pull it off the crusta just because of the sugar on the rim. But whenever we have something that's going up without ice, I want to chill down this glass based off that kind of science of the thermodynamic. If this glass is room temperature and I pour in an ice cold drink, then it's automatically going to try and hit equilibrium. So that glass is going to start warming up our cocktail.
Which we don't
So
want.
if we can keep this as ice cold by keeping our glass cold and chilled, it's going to allow our guests to enjoy this cocktail for longer.
Definitely.
I want this to taste as good from its first sip to its last,
Attention to
and this will
detail.
help us get there.
Right. And these are really thin glasses. Generally
Very,
speaking,
very
Nick and
fragile.
Nora's are pretty fragile.
Yeah.
CJ's is beautiful with the lace. Mine has a little honeycomb, guys. But the rim is really, really thin. These are really delicate glasses, and I love a Nick and Nora.
Yeah, it's a luxury. I won't discount it. I mean,
They're not
I'm
cheap.
just as happy straining it down in a rocks glass
Yeah,
and
sure.
like slugging it.
Right. But
if
attention
I
to
have
detail.
access,
Exactly.
why not?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So
Great.
let's get this bad boy going.
One of my favorite metaphors that I do, to the private classes, to the live streams, is when it's a Paul McGee-ism, that when you're shaking a cocktail, it's essentially like cooking on high heat, boiling, searing, whatever, especially if you're shaking with any crushed ice. It's like boiling, searing. If you're stirring, it's like a slow simmer or a crock pot. So, yes.
Daniel said Nick and Nora from The Thin Man.
The
Yes.
Thin
Nick
Man.
and
Thin
Nora
Man.
Charles. I don't know these references, so you guys probably know them.
I love it.
Yeah.
And CJ, give us the rundown real quick on that COVID safety testing.
Yeah,
technique
I
you're
like what
doing.
you did.
That's a technique that a
Yeah.
lot of people might disagree with. It's
I've
one that
seen
I
that
stick
more
to.
and more, yeah.
Mostly.
Straw tasting should, because straws are gone.
It's
now.
wasteful.
Well, it's super wasteful. Even
Yeah.
if you have stainless steel straws, and you got to spend a ton of time, cleaning those
That's
out.
hot
throughout
water.
service. But this allows me to taste through the entire cocktail until I know it's blossomed. As we mentioned before,
That's a Julian Cox term when it's blooming.
yeah,
Cocktail.
blooming or blossoming. It means it's gone from this kind of like
cooking
really,
spices and oil.
yeah, this contained flavor, and it's really opened up and become more aromatic and
Yeah.
a little more floral. So I'm waiting to hit that because I don't have any ice here. So as soon as this cocktail goes in here, it can't change or develop.
Right.
So I want to make sure that the temperature is there.
And
Again,
you're
whenever you're
just dotting,
stirring,
like, the top of your hand.
yeah, just
and-
taking a little piece and throwing it right here.
Right.
The back of my hand's never touching your glassware
Right.
or anything there. Definitely going to be a little more difficult to figure out once we open up
Sure.
and have masks and all
Well,
that
it's,
fun stuff.
we're,
but-
we're here
Yeah,
doing our thing. There's
when,
4 of us in this room.
When in EHO,
It's good to know, though, if you're hosting your friends
Yeah.
and you want to get a little taste, you don't have a straw handy.
Right.
There's a way you can pull
Instead
a
of
little bit of that
sipping
cocktail,
from the
right?
spoon.
Or like pulling
Yeah,
it out. You're
once it's
stirring
in the
one-
glass, I can never take it back, and I'm
Right.
never going to taste it from a guest glass. So this
Definitely.
just allows me to, again, going as sustainable as possible.
Yeah.
But also ensuring that it's damn delicious. So I'm comfortable with where it's at. I would call this a certified banger right now.
Yeah.
And we're good to start plating it up.
Beautiful. So for those of you just joining us, as we are live, I constantly reintroducing our friend here, but this is CJ Catalano, beverage director at the Fairmont Century Plaza Hotel here in Los Angeles. Dear friend of mine, world-class bartender and instructor, and we're enjoying a Century City, which is your original, correct? A beautiful. It's not often that a beverage director is willing to share his secrets with the world, so we are. Yeah, look at that. Beautiful honey
Wow.
gold color. It's not very often that you get.
It
Yeah, there it is. There it is. It's not often we get a
You know
beverage
what?
director sharing secrets.
You
with
got the
public,
proper
so-
number to start your zip code, so I'll let you do that over here.
Yeah, right. All right. Well, cheers. This is to you, CJ. This is to Art Beyond the Glass, the beneficiary of today's class. Look at
brother.
that. I mean. Oh man, dude, that's too easy to drink. Wow.
It's fun. It's
So-
crushable.
Beginning, middle, and end for sure. And no garnish on that.
No garnish.
So it's that's really just letting. And you know what? To be completely honest, the spirits that you chose are not like crazy expensive, not like crazy high level
No.
price or whatever.
No.
This is something that is very achievable
Yeah.
from the comfort of your own home. There is something to be said that we all know that drink tastes better when someone makes it for you.
When I do the dishes, it's typically
Yeah, exactly.
the response.
Exactly right,
It
yeah.
always tastes better that way.
I
Yeah.
do the dishes, but this has a very distinct beginning, middle, and end. The mezcal is part of the end. I get the sweet sort of honeyness from the cognac and the vermouth right off the bat. Wow, that's a complex.
There's something it like holds you in that way, like a Manhattan would, right?
I could
And
drink
you
10 of
kinda,
these.
Yeah, you get that like comforting kind
Yeah.
of like I'm being supported by this drink
Right.
right now in this moment.
Sure.
But you get that back right of mezcal that lets you know you're in LA County.
Yeah,
you're
sure.
enjoying, like we talk about colloquial drinks, like you're enjoying something that is very of the region. It has a specific thing about it that if you were to not tell somebody to build and put this in front of them, they'd be like, what's that like roasted, funky kind of like cactusy thing going on? And it's very of the region and of our city, which is so great because like we get dominated by wine so easily in this town.
Oh, sure, it's California. Yeah, there's also something to be said about. Okay, so say you go to a cocktail bar, right, and you've never been to said cocktail bar. Generally speaking, at least from my experience on that side of the bar, is a person will order one drink on the menu, like their adventuresome whatever cocktail, and then they'll default back to what they know, or like, okay, this is a little bit tamer, this is a little bit safer. I think that this cocktail is a perfect combination of the two. I would order another one of these, and I am not a person who orders two of the same thing at a bar ever. This is sublime.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well done, my friend.
Thank you.
The Century City. This is. Part of me wants to like serve it here because I'm going to be working here.
Like like taste it, like I've seen bartenders take their stab at like we're going to carve out our LA thing. Right? And then you taste these cocktails and you're like, I've had those cocktails in other towns. This is truly something that you're like, this cocktail belongs to LA County.
That is so
There
good.
is no other place. Yeah.
It almost has like a hazelnut.
Yes.
Sure.
Like, I
It's
almost
so
get
rounded.
chocolate.
Yes.
Yeah, the Antica will bring out kind of that like marzipan flavor.
Marzipan.
This has
God.
chocolate notes to it too.
It's
honestly,
wild.
yeah,
Because
chili
it's like
note.
you look at it and you're like, I don't know.
It's a Manhattan.
Well, I'm like thinking it kind of looks like a glass of sherry or something, and then you taste it and you're just like,
It's also
whoa.
stirred to perfection. Like this one, if you
It
you
is.
understirred it, it would be hot. I think.
But that's a
because-
cocktail that's
Oh,
like,
it could easily.
I
It's
would
really not.
I would rarely say this, but I'm like, don't try it at home. Like, go to the bar.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So
Try it
With
though.
that-
Like, try it.
but like, I'm
you
like,
had mentioned even that idea on like sharing my own recipes, and that's a big reason why I'm totally comfortable with it. Is outside of this is pretty obtainable, but I even understand that CP Old Fashioned. It's not likely that you're going to buy a $65 bottle of bourbon and then mix it with
some
other
Jaggery
ingredients.
syrup. Make your own
Yeah,
syrup.
like it's just not common.
Right.
So I am happy to give you all of
Yeah.
my recipes because it's going to taste better when I make it. It's going to be cheaper to visit me 4 times than have the same cocktail multiple times and buy that bottle.
Absolutely.
Um,
or order the Jaggery, order the violet syrup, order the everything.
Chopin's
Yeah.
scores are published.
Yeah, that is true.
You can fucking try.
Yeah,
It's
something
like,
like
right? There's
Very well
nothing
said.
saying that
Very
you
well said.
can't try.
You can
Back
go
to the SEO, like this cocktail has been published, so please go visit it on Imbibe.
Search
See
engine.
this
Oh, this
Century
is on
City.
Imbibe.
Yeah, this was published by Imbibe.
Congratulations, dude.
So again, I'm
Published-
happy to
Dude.
share this one.
I'll
This is
hit it
Century
for you.
City. Thank you.
Dude. Yeah, this is that's a delightful.
that card
cocktail.
smells crazy.
This is
What's so cool about it is as well is that looking at the ingredients, I would think, oh my god, this cocktail is like adding ankle weights, and I'm going to run really slowly because it's so heavy.
This is gonna
But
kill my dinner.
Not at all.
Yeah, no,
Not at all.
no.
It's really.
If I
quite
knew
light.
this cocktail was at a bar, this is my 100% like introductory cocktail. Meaning like it's the thing I order while me and my girlfriend wait for our dinner guests to show up for the reservation. Like
Wow.
this is something you want to sip on. It's so
It's
special.
lovely. It's
like
lovely.
yeah,
Thank you.
truly.
Honestly, what
No,
a treat.
thank you guys.
What a treat.
A lot of these were R&D and created in a bit of a vacuum, living at home during a lot of this, which is something that we hadn't really talked about. I started getting in my test kitchen in late February for an April opening. And then
last year.
last year.
This year.
No,
So
yeah,
then-
you just came up with this.
To develop all these, I was in my own kitchen,
Yeah.
and my roommate's not a big drinker. I always have to figure out what the response is if I ever taste something. If it's perfect, it's too sweet, or something's off. If it sucks, I'm getting there. So that's
talking
part
about
of it.
palate.
3 dots
Yeah.
palette, baby.
So that's a big. I mean, she loves joking about bricks, like 80 bricks Moscato, and it's just not what I love or what I expect my guests to drink. So that's a big part
And
of it.
in a hot town.
yeah.
A town that tends to be hot,
Absolutely.
temperature-wise. Like, you don't want to leave the bar feeling weighed down by old fashions.
Yeah,
It's a
so
different
I
town
wanted
that
to, even tasting with my corporate team or my boss and other people, it's creating these at home and then bottling them, delivering them throughout the city and then getting on a virtual tasting,
Oh,
hoping they
wow.
could execute. And
Wow.
that
Yeah.
goes into it. There was a lot to happen here, so
It's
yeah,
lovely.
this feedback is very well appreciated.
No, it's great, man. I mean, I can't get over the fact that like you can literally buy these. You can buy all of the alcohol.
Yeah.
At your local.
I mean, this is
store.
what
Yeah,
in LA we would call, if you're gonna have a dinner party with friends, the bar cart special, where like you could throw this cocktail in front of friends and it would blow their minds.
I'm gonna fuck my friends up with
Yeah,
this, dude.
like,
and
it's
I'm not even
such-
drunk. I just mean like an advanced flavor.
Right.
that
And things you
is-
should have on your bar cart anyway.
Right. Truly, especially out here.
All of those should be on your bar cart.
Yeah, if you live in Los Angeles.
Ancho, I had already mentioned plantation pineapple. One of my favorite shots I ever kind of came up with. My 50-50 is 50 ancho, 50 plantation pineapple.
Ooh.
It's the pina con chili. It's straight up pineapple dusted in chili powder.
Yeah.
Wow.
Highly recommend it.
Right.
So
Man,
good.
what a great cocktail. Thank you, CJ.
Wow.
Thank you.
for sharing this. I want to laud this cocktail.
It's
all
fun,
day.
dude, yeah.
However,
I will take
There-
us
no,
to the next chapter.
There's no
more
other screen.
chapters?
You can go back to the first one, the logo, whatever. I was going to say, this next part is for you, Mackenzie, if you are watching. This is where we're going to completely, no pun intended, shake things up a bit. So we, here at Gold Diggers, there's a shelf. What? What's so
I
funny?
was talking to TJ.
The shelf of doom.
Okay, so there's a shelf down here.
It's your bottom shelf, brother,
it's
not top.
It's
this one?
here's the bottle right here you're looking for. But there's a shelf down there of alcohol that is pretty much given to the bar as like, try this, you might like it. And one of the bottles that appeared is this bottle of Dickel that is aged in Tabasco hot sauce finish barrels. Honestly, I think it tastes like shit.
Mackenzie's here.
Mackenzie's here. It tastes terrible.
Vinegar whiskey.
I don't like it at all, but whenever we have a bartender friend here, the
Yeah,
challenge,
try it first.
you should taste it.
Palate it,
exactly.
as they would say.
Palate it. I know. The challenge, though, is how do we make this brutal alcohol taste good? And you know what? I think if you've been watching even 10 minutes of this show,
Yeah, that's kind of dope, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah,
it's not-
okay. It's a little more
right,
lift.
then you would know that our friend
Apple cider vinegar.
Our friend CJ here can whip up anything out of anything. So I'm excited. Off the cuff, what can
This is
CJ
chopped, but what do we call it?
Oh God, I don't know.
Shooketh?
Shooketh.
Shooketh?
This is our segment.
Open your box
we
of
call-
mystery.
Exactly, right. You know what I should have done is I should have
Yeah, we
Yeah,
should have put it in a
yeah,
basket.
yeah.
Yeah, in a basket.
Dickel Tabasco
Dickel
barrel
Tabasco.
See, what throws me off is like,
smooth sipping.
Persimmon syrup
Right.
to my friends I
and
love,
a shoe heel.
Dickel, interesting.
Dickel's great.
Little
35% was
Tennessee,
what threw me
Tennessee.
off a little bit. Honestly, I
Yeah.
expected them to come in a little bit hotter. So
70
this
proof, yeah.
Yeah, this almost in that fireball range
Right.
of ABV. So we might want a little more proof here.
You can, dude. There's free reign.
Oh, I'm not split basing this. This is the challenge. Yeah,
You're right. You're right.
That's
Don't-
not using the mystery ingredient in the.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
hold on. The chop judges, the shooketh
Shooketh.
judges.
This is our segment we're calling Shooketh. Please write this down
That's
so we
got
don't
some
forget
spice,
it. Shooketh. Yeah, exactly. It's Tabasco.
Skinny margs, baby.
barrel. Right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, so that.
let's
I wish
see.
we had like mangoes or pineapples.
Oh, if we had a full arsenal of tropical fruit,
Yeah,
definitely.
Well, he
instead,
comes- well, he
we got
comes up with
limited
an
lime.
idea.
Limited
Lemons,
lime.
limes,
dude.
oranges.
I'm into it. What you got, CJ?
We asked lemon or lime, and because this has kind of that mezcal like spice to it, or almost. Honestly, I want to taste these two back to back because it's
Do it.
got such a
Yeah,
similar.
we have the
like,
technology.
That's true.
Well, this is a great lesson, I guess, for like, I don't know what your general process would be in terms of like doing orange.
How do you build cocktails?
Yeah, like
Use your palate. Use what you know. Use what
Right.
you've tasted. What you like. What you don't like. What plays well with others. You know, there are rules, and then there's no rules.
Yeah. So it's got like this perfect, not spice, but like this Szechuan like numbing
Okay.
characteristic to it.
Little
Ten-
five
tannic
spice or
clove.
star anise.
Yeah.
I'll just get a refresher.
Dude, right? Exactly. Watching you sip the Tabasco Dickel is really entertaining.
It's so fun. So yeah, we talked. I'm lime over lemon for sure.
As
one does.
As one does.
And this kind of, because it reminds me of that skinny LA spicy marg world. Has me thinking Mexico, even though this is coming from Dickel.
Mexico,
Tennessee, right?
Yeah. So
Tennessee whiskey.
Tennessee, Mexico, baby.
Tennessee, Mexico, baby.
I want to do a Mexican firing squad on this. So that's, if we're talking our families, it would be a Ricky, which is, I'd say 1 ounce lime, 3/4 ounces of simple syrup or sweetener, 2 ounces of a spirit, and then we're going to shake medium. I've only shaken one cocktail today, so I didn't really break down the differences of the 4 shakes.
Let's talk about it really quickly. Julian Cox has the long, medium, hard.
Yes.
And then
soft, short, or kind of just rolled style. So our first would be the soft and short, or kind of rolled whip. Exactly. Right. So that's maybe a piece of or 2 of ice.
And this all has to, for the layman's terms.
This
all has to do with quantity of ice and then technique, or is it
more like time?
So it's
time and like how hard you're
force of energy and time that we're
We're talking about shaking right now.
Of shaking exclusively. Yeah. So a whip would be anything that's going to be served on its own ice. So say a caipirinha or a smash or something that's going to have all the ingredients going right back into the glass.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would take 2 or 3 pieces of this cold drafter of ice and just give it a real quick, soft shake. And all this is doing is incorporating and mixing those ingredients. So it's doing the aeration and mixing and less focus on the actual dilution of shaking. Because you're typically topping that with more ice or crushed ice that's going to melt right away. And then soft and short would be kind of right in that same world. We're going on crushed ice, maybe not as large of ice that's going to melt a lot quicker, but it's going to be strained off. So
for sure.
So like a cobbler maybe.
Yeah, kind of like that fixed world. And the whip also without ice is the dry shake. If you're going to make anything with egg white, cream, ginger, or orgeat,
which we have done. Right?
Yeah. Medium is anything that is going to be shaken with ice and then strained over fresh ice.
Okay.
So that's pretty much any of your kind of Collins 2 to 3 ingredient drinks.
Right, for sure.
That's where they're going to live. And then long and hard is going to go up without ice or down. So that is
snack.
We're going to shake it as long as possible and as hard as possible because we really want to aerate the shit out of that. We just want to make sure it's absolutely awake.
And it's finished as a product out of the shaker.
Yeah, that's the thing. We always want to, when we're shaking, we want to wake a cocktail up and, the soft short, or if you've got a real lazy shake, you're just putting it to sleep, and that's the last thing that we want to do.
Sure.
So with that, this is going to get that medium shake because I'm going to put this back on fresh ice.
Cool.
Because it's a Ricky style family.
Yeah.
So whenever I'm writing those recipes for myself and bartenders, I'll include the shake and the glassware that it's going into as well as garnish. So
for all his builds.
And after that
1 ounce,
discussion, I just want to say, whatever adult is responsible for this idea thanks you for the amount of attention that you put.
And it's funny, after 4 cocktails, we're sitting here talking about shakes.
It reminded me of like brunchy things, I don't know.
What do we call it? The restroom runner?
Restroom runner.
Restroom runner, but like chicken and waffles, some sort of like spicy sweet.
When you wake up hungover, you want some fatty food that will make you sprint to the bathroom and evacuate your bowels. This is the alcohol you're looking for, honestly.
Yeah, it'll do that for sure. It'll make you think about it at least.
Yeah, think about what you've done.
So we already hit our 1 ounce of lime. Now I'm doing 3/4 ounces of simple syrup. This is one of those initial families. This is the lime sour. So if it's lemon sour, I always teach 3/4 lemon, 3/4 simple. Lime, 1 ounce. Lime to 3/4 ounces of simple.
Yes.
There's a larger perception of acid in lemon versus lime. That's why we bump it up that extra quarter.
Okay.
Lime, you can add a little more. It's not going to be as overpowering as lemon.
Yeah. A little more sweetness.
Yeah, so
especially cold pressed lime juice. You can drink that by itself.
You can drink that straight.
Almost.
So now that we know our lime sour, if we just add 2 ounces of any spirit, we can make a daiquiri or a gimlet. If it's vodka or gin or
talking families.
Rum. Yeah, if we're talking to our families.
Yeah, right.
And then what I'm going to do is make a Ricky out of it. So we're now adding soda. So it's stretching that out. which is why I'm going medium. Because that's not...
Goblets back there too if you want, or the wine glasses, whatever glass you want to use.
Yeah, tall boys, pint glasses.
I thought about pint glass.
There's also Collins.
Yeah, there's some Collins glasses.
I mean, for an
there.
Illinois boy, we can go pint. As they say in Illinois, shatterproof. Grip it and rip it, brother.
Oh my god.
Real quick, too.
Drive the lyric.
Dude, yeah.
Yes.
Tubbs says hi.
Who?
Tubbs.
Oh, yeah, what up, dude?
He was saying thanks for all the New Orleans love.
Yeah,
and he
hell
also
yeah.
said that, fun
John Michael
fact,
Tubbs.
Tabasco is, I lost the comment, I can't see it anymore, but Tabasco is made in Jack Daniel's barrels.
That is true.
Yes. They buy
I
them,
think 3
right?
years.
There's a
Yeah,
fun
yeah,
YouTube
yeah.
portal of hot sauces.
And
where you're
reuse them.
high as hell at late night watching. how
So
to make
there's
it.
a
It's
little
good.
connection with, the
Whiskey,
whiskey and
right.
the
Okay.
Tabasco.
It's not. It's not.
I
like
see Tennessee.
completely- It's not completely
You're really
out
doubling
of the
down on the
question.
shit you do, huh?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
They know who they are.
Let's get that chocolate
Terroir.
filled. So I got our 2 ounces here.
The terroir of voter suppression.
Terroir. Is really what we should call this particular endeavor. Yeah.
I wonder if this is like a wash your hands kind of spirit.
I mean, it's not like
since we got the
drinkable.
peppers going
Yeah,
on.
right.
Well, we were talking a lot about like old.
Dude, listen to this. Ready? Here we go. George discovered that his whiskey made in the cold winter months tasted smoother. Today we follow this tradition by chilling our whiskey before filtering it through sugar maple charcoal. We think our unique chilled filtration process makes a fine whiskey. Hope you agree.
We'll find out. We'll learn today.
We'll see, George.
Yeah, right.
We'll see, George.
Did George Dickel have any idea what would become of his whiskey if it came to being mixed with Tabasco?
I'm feeling old Dickel wouldn't be too proud. Anyway.
Around here we like
I
to
love
say,
my friends
quote,
at Dickel.
Yes.
This is going to be
Dickel's the shit, dude. This is a wow.
So you're going to give it a nice little medium.
medium.
Dude, but honestly, this bottle,
It's provided.
she had no clue.
Dude, right.
Look how we're dressing her up for prom.
Exactly, dude. She's getting
Leave it to LA to get her an appointment at the salon.
This reminds me of Lollapalooza, I think 2017, when I made 4 Loko spirit cocktails.
Oh my god.
Oh.
You animal.
You should have seen the cooler at 54 West Hubbard. Just wall.
Full of them.
Yeah, floor to ceiling, just cases of Four Loko.
Yeah, you're right.
Wall ceiling.
Cases of Four Loko.
Yeah, dude, it was so wild. Because it's a Ricky, it's going to get soda, so we're going to add 2 ounces directly to the tin. Main reason why I do this is a lot of people will strain it out into the glass and then add your soda just to top arbitrarily, just top.
There's just soda. See, I
Yeah,
always
so it
top
doesn't
soda.
incorporate
Little top
quite as much. So even though you might lose a hair of carbonation, it's going to be so negligible compared
Right.
to having a fully incorporated drink.
See this?
And
This
not
is
on
why-
this
yeah.
proprietary Mountain Valley.
Yeah, exactly.
From the local artisan bodega
Exactly.
in Highland Park.
We do love Mountain Valley. $8 sparkling water, or whatever the fuck. Yeah. See, I always top with soda, and that was a Paul McGee-ism too, is top with soda. But I appreciate, respect, and tip my cap
Oh,
to
look at the color.
to that. Look at that. Yeah, it's a lot lighter than I thought.
So maybe we could use a pint.
Do it, you won't.
I guess we're all in this one together.
Yeah, right.
Is this
That's
second
probably
on the
same
list?
size as the double old fashioned.
Yeah, I think it is. It's just got a stem on it.
By the way, this Century City is still just as
I
mellow.
was
and
gonna
good.
say I took a sip of it.
Because that should actually
I handed
continue to
because I was
open
like, I know
up
what
as
it
it's
was.
sitting.
Honestly,
I
it
handed it off to
really
the girl.
is very, very easy to drink.
It.
So
Let's
Trent,
see.
is this what it's like sitting here when I'm making you cocktails? This is awesome. I don't want to host any more.
You know what, bro? Welcome to the club.
Yeah, right?
Well, thanks, George.
Here we go. Yeah.
Yes.
So, all right. in
So
case-
this is George Dickel's firing
We
squad.
call this a
George.
restroom
Oh wait,
runner.
actually, I lied. Can I please get all those glasses back very briefly?
Yes.
Yes.
This
Oh,
is
yeah,
the
yeah,
one
yeah.
instance where I
Yeah,
can't
oh,
take your
yeah,
glass
a
back.
little
Yes,
Ango,
before we
little
kind
Ango
of-
watch.
For those of you just joining us, we are now.
If you're just joining us, get out.
Yeah, if you're just joining us, this kind of started as like a joke at the beginning of the stream, but I figured let's have a master bartender behind our bar here make us something good with this Dickel Tabasco barrel finished whiskey. For those of you who don't know what Tabasco sauce is, if you've ever been to a diner anywhere in the Central Americas, if you will, not Central Americas, Central United States.
I would agree with that, though.
There's a peppery sauce that is aged in barrels called Tabasco sauce, and it's really, really brutal. It's really peppery. Doesn't have much depth.
Straight white vinegar.
Yeah, it's not bad, but it is historic and it is inherently American. Therefore, George Dickel, a great whiskey manufacturer, decided to age their whiskeys in these barrels where the hot sauce is made, giving this whiskey a distinct.
Which we've now found out through Autumn is an ode to Tabasco.
Right.
Who buys old Jack barrels.
Right. It's a very Tennessee thing. For our international watchers, we in the United States love to play nice with people close to us. And George Dickel is doing just that with their Tabasco barrel finish. So this is like a peppery hot sauce whiskey, which generally speaking, I would never pour for anyone unless I absolutely had to. And
or needed them to cash out.
Yeah, and
immediately.
What's so cool about what we're doing right here is this is probably going to taste really damn good.
I have no doubt.
I'm excited. I went from like zero to hero here. I'm excited to taste this Ricky that you made, which is essentially a lime sour with soda water added to it with the George. So here we go.
Would say, a father topper.
Absolutely. Right. So our father, if you remember the Holy Trinity of Angostura here.
We do love Ango.
So the original inspiration, even though I talked you through a Ricky, was Mexican Firing Squad. So a Mexican Firing Squad, once you understand the families and kind of how those all develop, a Mexican Firing Squad is a Ricky with tequila, add Angostura float. So outside of the soda water that we want to get into the tin, this is one time where we absolutely want that layering.
So we're giving it dad bod.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Look at that. Yeah.
Just that little bit of bar top ruiner.
Yeah, a little bloody top.
Exactly. Cuticle
a
stainer.
Little best intention special.
Exactly. Cuticle stainer, clothes ruiner, Angostura bitters. Look at that.
Jillian Dodd says we love George.
We do love George.
We do love George. We do love Jillian.
We love Jillian.
Dodd and the Grady family.
We do love all these humans. Here, Autumn. Let's
I think
get in
this
here.
will be a refreshing
right?
one.
So here we are, guys. Thank you so much for watching this live stream. We're going to taste this and then talk about
Cheers.
it. Here we go.
Cheers.
Cheers. I mean,
that's really good. That's really fucking good. What the fuck? I wanted to hate this. I wanted to go into it hating it, and honestly, I'm getting. Here we go.
And the spice plays well too. Like, not that it's coating spice, but there is like
Okay,
there's a
the cinnamon baking spice
bit
plays well
on
with the barrel.
Taste it again because the first sip was a lot of Angostura.
Yep.
Yeah.
But the second taste, I'm getting. Okay. I'm getting like gochujang. I'm getting like. Or gochugaru.
So real fermented chili?
Korean. Yeah, like Korean
People who know how to
fermented
ferment.
chili paste. I'm getting.
I'm getting no whiskey.
Togarashi. I'm getting like
No whiskey?
Like
No
in
whiskey,
a
for
good
sure.
way almost.
Yeah,
no
but it's
whiskey.
like it's
No.
like refreshing, spicy. It's lime spice.
Right.
It's not like this is not spirit forward. It's refreshing.
I'm getting like General Tso's teriyaki,
and it's
like,
got that fun, like good salsa kind of lip coat.
Yeah,
going on.
it's like spicy but sweet, which is what they.
Well,
You
it's
know,
in the
what
Szechuan pepper. It's
Yeah,
like that
actually,
numbing
yes,
without
yes.
actually being spiced.
It's not in my throat. It's more on like my palate and my lips, and it's kind of like.
Mackenzie said, "Is this added to the menu? We have a whole case."
Let's go, Mackenzie. Yo, honestly, we could come up with we could call it like the Tennessee Firing Squad or something silly,
Dude,
like that, or
yes,
whatever the
dude.
fuck. But honestly, that is. That's quite good, and I like I said, I wanted to hate this. I wanted to.
It hits the LA thing we were talking about earlier, where it's like people want
Sure.
spice,
Yeah.
Spice,
refreshing.
You know what?
But-
In honor of my mother, I do have one critique. Should have been in the pint glass.
Should have been the pie class, you're right.
Well, if it was one,
Should have been in a tumbler.
right? I mean,
If it was one,
A
it would-
Tervis.
If you just made one,
No, it could have been.
It could have been in a pie glass. Yeah.
Yeah, because it has that like.
It's
You talk
not-
about brunch cocktails.
I'm not getting.
I mean-
I'm not getting heavy spirit off this. I'm getting a
No.
lot of citrus. I'm getting a lot of sweet, and I'm getting a lot of spice.
Yeah, nothing.
Where the
spicy.
Ango comes in really well. It, like the cinnamon and nutmeg just overpower anything that would be the spirit, other than the Szechuan kind of that peppercorn.
This is where it's a pleasure for us to host.
Yeah. Honestly.
You like
Dude,
to take something and
Come
like
on.
this is
So
where it's
dumb
no
about
bullshit, right?
Yeah, dude, this
We're
is
not
like real-
magicians.
yeah.
We don't pull a Copperfield. Like this is understanding the history, chemistry, everything that's happening behind the bar to make something delicious get in front of a guest. And like, it takes somebody that gives a fuck.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't, you could not create this on the fly. Which, like, you know, we gave you a little bit of preemptive.
Wanted to hate this so
But
much.
yeah, but like,
No,
we wanted you to fail,
Yeah,
and
right.
you just
And
succeeded.
you so succeeded.
You
so
made
well.
such
Another
a palatable
one.
solution.
One more. So 2 ounces, 3/4 lime. No, one
So,
lime.
1 lime,
3/4 sugar.
3/4 sweetener, 2 ounces of spirit. Any spirit would work if we're talking to family, but if you're doing a Mexican firing squad, it would be tequila. 2 ounces of soda water added directly into your tin.
Right.
Not to pimp out Autumn, but can we get the build-ish to the chat?
Right.
And
down.
then topped with a couple of dashes of Ango once you're in your Collins with fresh ice.
2 ounce George Dickel
2
Tabasco
ounce
whiskey.
Tabasco.
Wow, I can't believe I just said that.
Gotta
out
buy
loud.
it from Gold Diggers.
Exactly. 1 ounce lime, 3/4 sugar, 2 ounces. After you're shaking it, 2 ounces of soda water topped with Angostura. Honestly, that is that's very good. I'll give it the very good stamp.
I'll drink a restroom runner.
Yeah, we called it restroom runner or the clincher.
I don't think that's not what this is though.
This is different.
Like a
This is
delightful-
not a clincher. I know. I'm not running to the
It's like a
bathroom.
beachside. It's good.
No, that'd be like a Gibson if I made it with that.
Gibson, some saline really gets you going.
Yeah. A little contact solution.
Hell
in there.
yeah,
Just
man.
Tabasco and a nice pickled onion.
You know what? I would say this calls for one more shot. What do you say we do another shot before we sign off?
I mean,
This has been so much fun.
I know we got a whiskey boy here too. There's a collection of really beautiful things over
Why
there.
don't
If
you
you'd
grab
like to pick
something-
one, and
something you're interested
we have
in?
carte blanche on that top left shelf.
Yeah.
Anything you like.
Cheers.
Anything you got your eye on, brother.
Right. And then here we go. The question that I was going to ask earlier that I meant to ask.
Practice what you preach,
got
guys.
your
Practice what you preach.
Right.
A true pro.
Okay, so we were talking earlier about a cost-effective way. You were saying the perfect example is going to a liquor store, and when you buy your base spirit,
I
bourbon,
love
rum,
that.
tequila,
I
whatever,
love
to
that.
pick up a modifier.
Yes.
So if you had to, thank you, if you had
Pass back.
to pick, let's say 5. 5 is, it seems like a lot, but it's really not that much when it comes to modifiers.
Yeah.
What are 5 necessary modifiers that you would add to a bar? I can guess a couple, and we'll see if my guesses are correct. But for those of you going to liquor stores to pick up your beer, to pick up your bourbon, to pick up whatever,
What are the things you can ask for, and they might just pull out for you?
or not necessarily that, but more, what are the things that CJ would recommend as modifiers that will open doors?
Right.
And we're
So more the quintessential, not necessarily just my favorite in the category.
And that's what I mean.
No,
Not to look
quintessential,
stupid,
like,
right? You're like,
for
hey, I
anyone
want
for
blah,
anyone in
blah,
their
blah.
home bar, the thing of I go to Total Wine and Spirits every other day to get stuff for the private classes, to get stuff for this classes or for these live streams, and I see people struggling in the cordials aisle, in the liqueurs aisle, and I do my best to keep my mouth shut because I hate backseat bartending. But there are people who need help with this kind of stuff. When you see a bunch of beautiful labels like that, it's easy to get intimidated. So, what are some things?
What's your
we
bar
can-
cart starter?
Yeah, that we can make scary, if you will, or
Mystify?
demystify.
Demystify,
Beautiful.
yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, a couple cocktails.
I like deep make scary.
Make scary. Yeah, demystify. Yeah.
Nothing more post-pandemic than that.
Yeah, I would
Let's
say
say
for
5.
the 5, which again will open up kind of the world that you can play with. Maraschino also comes to 375.
Luxardo Maraschino.
Luxardo Maraschino.
So
right
small
here.
boy, a small boy.
I am still, it can even be clear, but Combier is my go-to for Curacao triple sec style.
Okay.
So there's 2. Campari, outside of just the Negroni, Campari has really kind of proliferated the Italian bitter category, and can hold up and kind of replace anything else that's in that category. With that, I'll put the caveat of Aperol, which is its little cousin.
She down there.
So like Campari / Aperol, or is that taking?
Yeah.
Is that the 4th?
I don't
Took
think
over
that this
LA
would take a
patios.
4 spot.
Okay.
But I do think that if we're talking
Campari /
6,
Aperol.
spots, Aperol would be in there.
Spoken like a true bartender.
Six man of the year.
That's what I'm talking about.
Super important on the team.
So where Campari comes in, and I think like 24% ABV. This is 11%, so a lot lighter, more orange, kind of rhubarb, really light. It's the spritz. It's the patio pounder.
Sure.
That's a little more advanced. So now we're on.
Okay, so it's Luxardo, Combier, Campari.
And or
anything Tempest Fugit does as a producer, I trust entirely. So they make my favorite creme de cacao and creme de menthe.
Okay.
Which may not be as versatile when you're talking big picture. They're some of my favorites just because
I'm looking for like no. I hear you on this, but I'm Jesus Christ.
Versus Marie Brizard or like that's
if I roll into Binny's.
If I roll into
my local
exactly. Like I'm looking for
dry vermouth. What's like
sweet vermouth, dry vermouth,
something dry.
We're talking
that
vermouths,
basic.
yeah.
That basic.
Carpano Antica and Dolan Dry. Cool. I think that rounds it out. Honestly,
that's all 5.
Yeah.
So.
Dolan Dry is my go-to for dry vermouth. I prefer Italian vermouth for my sweet vermouth and French for dry. And then really one of my favorite ingredients is kind of that Goldilocks zone of Dolan Blanc, which is a white sweet vermouth.
Over Lillet.
Yes. That has a touch of bitterness to it, and I think that Dolan Blanc just kind of transcends the vermouth category, and it's one of my favorites.
So to round that out, one more time, for those of you watching at home, if you are going to the liquor store and you have the thing about cocktails is that it is a pay-to-play thing. I understand everyone's short on money right now. It is an investment. For instance, last week I had a bottle of Pierre Ferrand Dry Curacao that lasted us a year, and I'm teaching regular virtual cocktail classes. So if you're not teaching cocktail classes, but you can,
this is my one. That's the same story.
Right.
A buddy of mine wanted to make aviations for New Year's Eve, and I told him Rothman and Winter Creme de Violette is my absolute favorite.
I like the trio.
Really?
Yeah.
We'll talk.
We'll talk about it.
Cameras off.
Yeah, exactly right.
I bought my first bottle in like 2014, and I think I'm right about here on it. And that's one of
7 years ago.
Yeah, so that's just
right
because I use it 3/8 of an ounce at a time. That 0.375 measurement, like I rarely use it, so it can just keep going.
Right.
So if you're looking for shelf stability, though, and I will say that if this is your total investment, I want to reiterate. Not so much ignoring, but reiterate. Vermouth goes in the fridge.
Vermouth goes in the fridge. Adele does. Yeah, right.
I have someone shared their top.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, guess top 5.
So Jillian's with us,
Love it.
She said Contro, Ango, Coco Lopez, and Luxardo. And then she said, well, Coco Lopez is in a spirit. She would put Lillet in that place.
Okay.
And always sweet vermouth.
Always sweet vermouth, definitely. Absolute respect, Jillian. Thank you for being here with us.
Jillian keeps hers in a Perone in the fridge.
Yes, dude. For those of you who don't know what a Perone is, it's an incredible piece of glass that you fill with preferably a low alcohol content spirit. And the idea is, as it pours out of a tiny little spout, you hold it and open, to your open mouth, and then pull it further and further away until you can no longer hold it any further, and then bring it back, and then everyone cheers.
Is that what it's actually designed for? For pouring into a mouth?
It's the same as decanting. The idea is that the limited stream and the separation is adding air.
Oxidation.
Which goes into one of my pet peeves before on where we're stirring a cocktail, and the idea is that we're removing any air.
Yes.
Nothing drives me crazier than being at a cocktail bar and seeing a bartender plate their stirred cocktail, from up here.
Oh, yeah, no! You hold
just,
it right next... Yeah, exactly.
I get it looks cool, but I don't care how cool you look, I care how your drink
goes.
goes.
We want to remove the...
anyway.
Jillian also says you need to drink more aviations. CJ.
Everyone should.
Challenge accepted. Heard.
Well, if you have a whole bottle of your creme de violette...
I think I've got like 3 at this point, too.
Oh,
so
my
screw it,
God,
I just keep giving them to me.
I love it. All right, well, Trent is coming out of... Yeah, here we go. So, this shot right here will be our final shot for the evening. Thank you so much for joining us. This will be available on YouTube forever as part of our live stream archives. But we are so honored to have CJ Catalano here with us. What a pleasure it has been. I have learned so much. Hopefully you guys
Me too.
Yeah, exactly.
It's been a pleasure. Truly.
Thank you so much for all your comments and questions. If you have any questions, you can reach out to CJ directly at Repeal Cocktails on his Instagram. You can reach out to us at Very Good Cocktails or me, Alex Vasili, whatever. We have a website, verygoodcocktails.com.
Headshot and monologue advice to me and Autumn.
Exactly right. If you have any questions about the Fairmont Century Plaza Hotel, you can reach out to them. Oh yeah, I guess right.
Yeah, well,
Company
that does exist.
Yeah, exactly. We have our proprietary Very Good Cocktails Gold Fashioned syrup that we make, that I make in my own damn kitchen. That's been selling like wildfire. We're grateful for all of the support. But with this shot, I want to cheers CJ. I want to cheers Art Beyond the Glass, our beneficiary of today's live stream.
Please donate.
I've learned so much. Cheers, Autumn. Cheers to Gold Diggers, our host, for having us here week after week after week. We're so grateful for the love that we get from the staff, from this entire organization, and we are grateful to constantly be learning and sharing the knowledge that we get from the awesome art of cocktails. So, cheers, CJ. Here, I can't believe we're shooting the single barrel. You know?
Yeah,
but respect.
That's what you
Good
want.
Oh, wow.
that's very good.
Damn, it's been a minute since we've had really, really good whiskey. I don't really have many words for that. That's so good. It's like making my eyes water. It's so good.
Ready to go to Desert Island.
Exactly. 110 proof with that, right? All right, guys, we're going to sign off. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And we will see you next week. We are right here, back again with the Harold Robinson Foundation, an incredible organization that raises money to get kids out of South Central LA into an amazing camp just north of the hills, where they give them love, music, food, shelter, everything that they need. More specifically, music. A lot of these kids don't have opportunities to make music with each other, and some of the kids that I have seen at that camp it's literally the future of the Los Angeles music scene, and I'm so excited.
Yeah.
So next week we are raising money for them, and we're so excited to be here. We're focusing a lot on tequila next week, and if you have any questions, like I said, check us out at verygoodcocktails.com. We have everything published, posted, whatever the hell.
Please visit CJ, book a fucking
exactly.
stay with your
Book,
family.
like pre-book a stay
hit
with
the
CJ.
pool. Get a sitter for your kids.
Dude,
Let's go.
I
Can Crusher.
I cannot wait to go. I can't wait to get kicked out of CJ.
I can't wait to crush a can, pick it in the pool, say fuck nature, and then get a cab.
Oh, it's so perfect. Thank you so much, CJ.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much. It's been really
True. We're going to sign off here. We love you guys, and we'll see y'all next